that it would be quite a good St. Patrick's Day.
I didn't pick up on it.
People don't listen to me, you see.
No, nobody listens to you.
No, it was nice. What did you? You were Errigal.
We climbed the main. See, do you know how you have these things and you say things?
Yes.
And, you know, and
literally my life.
Yeah,
I do about 1% of the things I say I'm going to do.
Yeah, so I says, I better stick to my word when you say you're going to do something. So me and Lee got up at 6:30. We were landed at the bottom of Errigal at 8. 2 rucksacks on us. We had loads of food and sandwiches and stuff, and we climbed. It took us about an hour and a half. He was fitter than me, and
it took an hour and a half to get up.
Yeah, right. I know that's going to be slow, but we took our time. Do you know? There was about 25 cars there when we came down at 11 o'clock, and there was about 10 from say Northern Ireland, and say about 6 or 7 from aroundish here, and then the other cars, then Dublin plates and all that kind of stuff. What are you looking at your chest for? Nothing? Itchy, hairy?
No, I don't have any hair.
But it was good, and it was the first. I haven't been up in years. I went the old way years ago with when we had cousins.
They did the steps and all. They've
brilliant. I have to say, commend them. They did an amazing job.
Helicoptering the stuff up.
You would need it. I was thinking to myself, what would you need a helicopter?
Well, they closed it off.
They did. Oh, the guys did, and the wee land drains going through it as well, and they did a fine job. So that's it. Don't ask me the question what I found coming down, because
what did you find?
I sent Greg a video. So what coming down, right? And I was coming down. Everybody that we met coming up, sure, you'd be on a kind of high when you climb it down. You're coming down, right?
You know you're going downhill.
You're going downhill. It's great. So everybody that we met coming up, right? I was saying, I have the soup and the sandwiches ready for you. I only have chicken and vegetable soup, and sure, this was great. And then Lee, he was a couple of steps behind me. He says, Daddy, he says, there's a few of them people think there is soup and sandwiches at the top. I says, the caravan's opening, and we're seeing there's pancakes going and everything. It's just a wild crack coming down, right? But then I was walking, right? And you know what? So I said, this was me all the way, because there's lots of steps, right? And you know, from talking to these mountaineers, they say it's grand climbing these things, coming down safely.
You have to be careful.
So I say, now keep your eyes on the ground, make sure your feet is on a stone, and all of this all the way down. Chirp, his ears must be sore. But so you had your eyes on the ground. So on the way up, I noticed there was a hat, somebody's hat, and they pegged it on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
That was
the
good.
Hat can blow off, no problem.
Yeah. See, no litter at all. But coming down, then I noticed another piece of clothing.
What was it?
And I walked past it, right? I says, God almighty. Right? And I walked past it. I says, right, that's a very unusual piece of clothing. So I walked on down, and then I says, I better go back and take a wee video of this for Greg Hughes for the crack. So I says, yes, Greg. You know the video. He says, yes, Greg, we're climbing Errigal today. He says, look what we found just below the top of Errigal. And I showed you the picture, and I was kind of lost for words. What did the found a nice, fancy, frilly black.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They look like they're special knickers. They're not like practical ones.
There'd be no warmth in them.
Like, it can get windy up there, but to blow the knickers off you.
I'll tell you, it would be tight handling. It would founder you.
Oh, there'd be a loose handling.
Oh yeah, but then I was thinking, I went down to the wee shop then and got ice cream. Then I was saying,
but hold on, you about the knickers. So we found a pair of black knickers. They're kind of fancy, lacy knickers.
I left them up there.
Yeah, so if you have lost a pair of knickers up Errigal, give us a call.
But you'd wonder now. I was saying to Jeremy Doherty, and I said, Jeremy, you wouldn't believe what I found at the bottom. He says, a frilly pair of black knickers, and he says, you would like to think that they fell out of somebody's bag. Do you know?
Who brings spare knickers up? I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, but I was chatting to the shop people down below, and they were saying, it'd be nice to have toilets up there and stuff, Yeah.
We'll get to the bottom of it anyway.
Oh, you're very good.
Thankfully, I had to say it twice for you to even register. Right, okay, so we'd love to reconnect these black knickers with their owner.
Yeah, they'll be still up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have brought them down, though.
Not at all. If I had a stick, I'd reach for them, but no, that's it. I didn't have my litter picker with me.
All right, okay. Listen, thanks very much, Lee. He's back with you tomorrow morning, which, in fact, will be Wednesday. Okay, delays to passing over to Donald. My apologies, Donald, but sure, it'll be grand. It's 3 minutes past 9, and we go over for a news update. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The EU Parliament has unanimously accepted the report of a deputation of MEPs who visited Donegal and other affected counties late last year as part of a Petitions Committee investigation into the Defective Block scandal. The vote was held in the past 30 minutes. Meanwhile, it's emerged Defective Block homeowners in Donegal are living with rodents as a result of the damage threshold contained in the enhanced Defective Concrete Block scheme. The stipulation included in the revised scheme means homeowners must be able to show evidence of at least 1 millimetre of cracks in their property and not have carried out without any minor repairs. However, the chair of the Micah Action Group, Lisa Hone, says some people have no other option but to repair the cracks, and that, she says, means they're not being deemed eligible.
We've had homeowners who've been passed over from putting the application in to Donegal County Council with full IS 465 reports. They have a full lab analysis showing that they have issues with defective concrete, internal sulfate attack, evidence of pyrrhotite, and photographic evidence of the damage at the time that the IS 465 report was done. Since then, they have filled in the cracks thinking, yes, it's all recorded, and now they found themselves not meeting the damage threshold and not being able to get onto the scheme.
Convicted Garda killer Pierce McCauley has been found dead at his home in Strabane. It's believed the 59-year-old died from natural causes. He was part of the IRA gang that shot dead Detective Garda Jerry McCabe in Limerick in 1996, 5 years after escaping from Brixton Prison in London. The government's being urged to postpone a planned increase in excise duty on fuels, which is scheduled for April 1st. In the UK spring budget earlier this month, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt announced that the UK would postpone any increases for the next 12 months. However, the lobby group Fuel for Ireland says an Irish move to restore fuel taxes to pre-COVID levels is set to go ahead in 2 phases this year, and this will lead to a huge difference in prices at the pump, which retailers in southern border counties like Donegal being put at a severe disadvantage. The price differential could be as much as 15 cents a litre. Kevin McPartin, CEO of Fuels for Ireland, says if people start crossing the border for fuel, it'll hit state revenues as well as his fuel retailer members. And parents and guardians of children with special education needs in the final year of primary school are having severe difficulty finding suitable secondary school places. ADHD Ireland says demand for specialised services exceeds availability for new year students. Ken Kilbride says a coordinated plan between the HSE and the Department of Education is necessary.
There needs to be better coordination between the HSE, who provide assessment and treatment for children with ADHD and other conditions, and the Department of Education, because you find an awful lot of children get bounced between the two. The HSE say it's an education problem, it's nothing to do with us. We then go on to the education and say it's a mental health problem, you carry back to the HSE.
And the weather forecast dry for many today with sunny spells and just some scattered showers, however turning cloudier later. Top temperatures 10 to 12 degrees Celsius in light winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
If you're not with Energy, chances are you're paying more than you need to for your electricity. As Ireland's newest energy provider, we offer Ireland's cheapest electricity rate, saving our customers up to €500 per year. So if you want to pay less for energy, simply pay a visit to unoenergy.ie and sign up for big savings with smaller bills. With Energy, you just know. Energy fixed discount rate EAB €1415. For T's and C's and rates, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers' pricing may change.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning, and a very good Tuesday morning. It is the 19th of March 2024, and at 7 minutes past 9, you're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till Noon Show, albeit a truncated week. It is Tuesday, which means we've got Community Garda information coming up in the show a little later on. That and so much more besides. So we want you on board for the full 3 hours. And we want you involved in the conversation as well. What do you want to talk about? Anything that you think we should be talking about that you come across over the long weekend? Let us know. The lines are open for you right now. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000. You can send your WhatsApp voice notes to that number as well. Or you can give us a call. Donna Marie taking your calls today on 07491 25,000. And if email is your thing, comments at highlandradio.com. That'll get us from wherever you happen to be listening. And you can also watch the show as well. Just a reminder for you, we're on YouTube, so you can watch us on your smart TV, your Fire Stick. Just type in Highland Radio Donegal and you'll be able to see us. We're going to be streaming live there. You'll just see the stream, watch live. And we're on Facebook too, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on the X platform as well. Good to have you watching on X around the world or wherever you happen to be. Right, before we get our first guests on the show, let's have a look at what's making some of the front pages. And inside the Irish Times, the front page, Israel has reacted scathingly after European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell accused the country yesterday of using starvation as a weapon of war. In Gaza, we are in a state of famine affecting the thousands of people, Mr. Borrell said. Starvation is used as a weapon of war. Israel is provoking famine. the Israel Foreign Minister said Israel allows extensive humanitarian aid into Gaza by land, air and sea, despite Hamas attacks and convoys, which we just know that's simply not the case. It's as if we don't have ears and eyes. You can see quite clearly that large swathes of the population are starving. Children are malnourished and they're eating effectively weeds just to try and survive. So to try and say that is not the case is really hard to swallow in this day and age. Mr. Kaz went on to say it's time for EU Foreign Minister Borrell to stop attacking Israel and recognise our right to self-defence against Hamas crimes, he said. Mr. Borrell's comments came after a UN-backed report determined that famine is imminent and likely to occur in the next 2 months in northern Gaza, where some 200,000 residents remain largely cut off from humanitarian supplies. And you saw perhaps over the weekend some supplies being airdropped and the massive rush to go and acquire that. And, you know, every country probably has selfish, bad people. And you just wonder if that way of delivering food means that those that need it the most aren't actually getting it. And it becomes some sort of a currency, which would be really horrible to think, wouldn't it? On to the Irish Independent now, and ears open if you have a smart meter, because thousands of homeowners who have smart electricity meters have been warned the devices may be malfunctioning, leading to them being overcharged. Now, the problem here is, and I've said this before, and some of you out there probably know exactly what your bill should be, how it's worked out, what it's made up of and all that type of stuff. But I think many others as well, it's so random. You get a bill inexplicably for your 2 months and it could be 198 if you're really lucky, and then you get a bill the following 2 months and it's 295, and then the next bill could be 463, and then the next bill could be like 192. I haven't a clue. Sometimes when, you know, make a big effort to reduce the usage, it's high, and other times you could have a sauna running and it's low. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's aggregated over the year. I don't know. But whatever way it's done, I can't keep track. Well, a string of householders have been in contact with the Irish Independent, claiming that faults with their smart meter have led to them receiving bumper bills. They've been sent estimated bills despite the fact smart meters are supposed to automatically send real-time information to their electricity usage, or on their electricity usage, to ESB networks. Smart meters use a mobile phone signal to relay information on electricity use. Now, ESB Networks, which is responsible for the installation of the new meters, has admitted up to 80,000 meters may suffer from intermittent connectivity issues due to a weak mobile signal. But it strongly denied a batch of faulty meters had been installed in homes. So you might live in a mobile black spot, and that means your meter struggles to contact base, so to speak. But as I say, there's just a random nature to electricity bills that I can't get my head around. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and the field is widening as it relates to the European elections in this area, which is Midlands Northwest. Former jockey Nina Carberry seeking to enter the race for the European Parliament for Fine Gael. Ms Carberry, 39, a 7-time winner at Cheltenham and a Dancing with the Star champion, has put her name forward as potential candidate for the party in the Midlands Northwest constituency. In a message to Fine Gael members yesterday, the Meath woman said that her approach to politics will be defined by honesty, hard work and plain talking. In the Ireland and Europe of today, it is more important than ever for those who believe they can make a difference to put their hand up to make things happen. As a mother of two, she says, that is why I want to contest the European elections for Fine Gael this June to ensure a bright future ahead. It'll be interesting to see, if we ever heard, what the other two candidates might have to say. I think Maria Walsh will be less displeased, perhaps, than her running mate. The 5-seater Midlands Northwest constituency, by the way, covers from Meath across to Galway and up to Donegal. And as I say, Fianna Fáil have 3 in. Fine Gael, they have 2 sitting MEPs at the moment, which will become a 5-seater, of course, the 2 being Maria Walsh, as I mentioned, and Colin Markey. The party's selection convention takes place on Saturday of this week. Mr. Markey, I wonder what he might be thinking as it relates to where that might go. On to the Irish Star this morning. Convicted Garda killer Pierce McCauley, who also savagely stabbed his ex-wife 13 times, has died. The ex-IRA member, who was released from prison 2 years ago after serving just 7 years of a 12-year sentence for stabbing his ex-wife, Pauline Tully, was found dead in Strabane. Sources confirmed the former Provo, who brutally killed Detective Garda Jerry McCabe in a crime that shocked the nation in 1996, appears to have died of natural causes. Sources further said that it appears Macaulay, who was in his late 50s, 59 I believe, may have lay dead for a number of days. Macaulay made international headlines when he broke out from Brixton Prison in 1991 as a member of the IRA. Interesting story about the implications of banning flavoured vapes. Moves to ban flavoured vapes will see an increase in people returning to smoking, it is claimed. Campaigners' call for action to reduce the attraction of vaping to teenagers and young adults have grown significantly in the last year. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly revealed intentions last September to ban disposable vapes in a crackdown that also targeted flavours and advertising. He previously branded flavours child-friendly. TDs then voted in the Dáil last November to ban the sale of vaping products to minors. In the UK, it was revealed in January that a range of flavours could be banned, reducing the number of those available to 4 in a bid to deter new users. Yesterday, a new poll was published in Ireland to reveal a warning that 76% of vapers believe a flavour ban could lead to more young people smoking, and some 71% claimed smokers would not take up vaping to quit if flavours were banned. Some vapers claimed that banning them for under 18s would be more effective than a ban on flavoured vapes. Now, the bottom line is if you get a nicotine addiction, and any of you who've had one or have one will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you quite quickly become addicted to vaping and then that nicotine source is no longer available, you will seek out an alternative. Now, I'm not saying that means we shouldn't be banning flavours or what have you, but it is a reality that you will get nicotine however you can, because it's so bloody addictive. And finally, for those of you who are following the I don't know what you would call it, the situation with the British royal family. Beaming Kate, as she's described here, says she's on the mend during a trip to a farm shop with devoted hubby William. The Princess of Wales, 42, appears fit and well and carries her own bag of goodies, a plastic bag at a farm shop, which is quite weird, and her own bag of goodies as she strolls past customers lunching outside. A passerby who took the footage described her as looking happy, relaxed and relieved. His exclusive images emerged after The Sun told yesterday how Kate had visited the Windsor farm shop close to her Adelaide cottage home in Saturday. Now, this is very convenient that all of a sudden privately shot footage becomes available to a newspaper. There's absolutely no doubt this story would have been done in association with the royals, but a few people have been. Now, I'm not involved in this conspiracy about her, but a lot of people out there are, which is why I'm mentioning it. A couple of enhanced photos of the person pictured here. She looks completely different, has completely different teeth actually to Kate. So for those who they probably put this out thinking that, you know, this will put all this speculation to bed, but in fact it's done the opposite, because now people are more convinced than ever that lady in these pictures isn't her. And that's about as much of that story I've been following, but I know some of you out there are quite interested in that. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. It's Tuesday's 9 till noon show. We'll be back with more after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
At CS Architectural Salvage, you'll find reclaimed white plank floorboards, polished beams, pine and oak beams sawn to customers' requirements, and waxed finish, Belfast street lamps and garden furniture. CS Architectural Salvage, Campsie Industrial Estate, Eglinton. Call 04871 812 999.
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring are 26 years old, and to celebrate, we're offering up to 70% off everything in store. That's right, a massive birthday sale with up to 70% off all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Everything's in stock. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, up to 70% off birthday sale, extended until Sunday.
Nutrius XL Yo with Lamb and Nutrius Yo with Lamb Crunch are formulated to ensure a vigorous lamb and excellent milk yield. Avail of our lambing season offer. 25 kg bags, buy 10, get 1 free. And €15 off per tonne in bulk. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
And a big thank you again to all of you out there who supported Highland Radio's big birthday charity fundraising drive on Friday. We had lots of good fun. I hope you enjoyed the bit of a mix-up on throughout the course of the day on Friday, people that you hear on different shows in different slots. And there was lots of fun, and we had lots and lots of fun being part of it, and I hope that came across as listeners or viewers if you watched any of the clips on social media. And people out there really, really generous right across the board, be it the auction or donating online or dropping cash and coins into our bucket stand at the Letterkenny Shopping Centre. There'll be an update on that in the not too distant future, but again, thank you so very much to everyone who supported that. And what it means is that 3 brilliant charities, and we got to know them a little bit better too over the course of the week leading up to that charity day. They'll be receiving a really quite nice little generous donation too, which is great. Okay, now lots of you emailing, messaging in over the weekend as well. Yesterday, my 14-year-old son was injured at a school football match. He needed to go to the ED as advised by the medical staff at the school. Arrived at 1:33 in the afternoon, through to triage nurse quite quickly, was advised he was being put on the purple pathway, which is a fast track for minor injuries, usually requiring an X-ray and fracture clinic referral. At 3:50, that's a couple of hours later, I asked nursing staff would he be called any time soon, and was told there was 3 in front of him. After 6:30, I asked again and was told 2 in front of him. Then sometime around 7:30 in the evening, I asked the receptionist would it be possible to speak to whoever was managing the department, to be told there is no manager of that department, and was handed a survey sheet on our experience at the hospital and the visit. And if I had an issue, to email them. I was told to go into the treatment area and track down the nurse in charge. I was reluctant to do that as they're very busy caring for patients. Anyway, long story short, I was told as the doctor doing purple pathway finishes around 5:30 and didn't get around to my son. He was just added to the list of persons already waiting, hence the delay. So finally, shortly after 8 p.m, he was called, and it took less than 30 minutes to have him x-rayed and referred to the fracture clinic. Surely 8 hours for a simple x-ray for a teenager is an excessive wait. How can any department be operating without a manager, never mind an ED that is dealing with people's lives? I totally and fully understand the pressure that is on this department, and not in any way the fault of nurses and doctors on the floor. Someone somewhere needs to look at the bigger picture and work out some way of improving this service. It's the total lack of communication to patients waiting that's frustrating. You just sit and sit and sit, and then possibly pop to the toilet to miss your name being called. Then you just wait and wait again. Unfortunately, that is an experience. It's not new. I've sat in there for 8 or 9 hours with someone seeking an x-ray as well. So I know what are you talking about. Rightio, as you would know, we've got apps out there now and websites where you can track vessels off our coast and get some information as to what they're doing out there. It can be quite useful, but I know, speaking to some inshore fishermen who are really quite curtailed in what they can do, it is incredibly frustrating because often you can see right off our coast big vessels from outside this jurisdiction effectively just fishing at will. Okay, let's say good morning to Sinn Féin Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin. Good morning, Pádraig. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
I know this is something you keep an eye on, and you posted on this on your socials over the weekend. What did you spot?
Well, I think that the issue for me stem from this really impressive 14-year-old girl from Armore Island, Murren Kavanagh, and Murren is just the latest generation. At least 3, maybe 4 or 5 generations of her family have fished of Armore. They're what's called low-impact fishermen. She would work with a hook and line, and she would be fishing for pollock, and she's not catching all that money, and they have a wee market for them, and it's just the latest generation of her family. But she was told that pollock isn't allowed to be caught by anybody, zero catch, unless you have a thing called bycatch. That's where you would catch other species, but pollock would be caught up in it. So they do allow bycatch, they allow some pollock, but she can't fish. She wrote to Minister Charlie McConlogue, and it was a powerful letter. It was all over social media. It's caught the imagination of a lot of people around the country. And the minister wrote back to her and explained why she wasn't allowed to catch. And I happened to be reading an article around the same time.
20 minutes before she came on the show, actually, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, and there was that response there, and she's just captured the imagination of people around the country. It's just the power of her letter, the maturity, the sense of injustice that she sees in terms of fishing communities, and I see it all the time all around the coast. But around the same time all this was happening, I managed to read a very long article, a superb piece of journalism that focused on a huge Dutch corporation called Parlevleet and Van der Plas, or known as PVP, massive corporation. And this corporation, based in Holland, you would see super trawlers every year. In fact, the 2 biggest super trawlers in the world are owned by this company, and factory ships, huge factory ships, and they do this perfectly legally because they buy up quota. So in a lot of member states, a lot of European countries, they sell quota that is supposed to be belonging to their people, but they sell it to corporations, and this corporation has just been buying up quota left, right and centre across a wide range of countries. They have about 1.5 billion in revenue. They are subsidised heavily by the European Union, and you see 2 different Europes and 2 different common fisheries policy. One for the likes of Murren Kavanagh and small-scale fishermen, or indeed Irish fishermen in general, and fishing communities, and for the likes of this huge corporation. And you have a situation where they preach to us about sustainability and sustainability of the catch, while we're sitting out looking at a small city. You literally have the super trawler and the super factory
Just
ship
in relation
fishing
to that,
side by side.
how do we know what they're doing out there? I mean, who is policing it? How are they catching the fish? How are they ensuring that what they're actually catching is what they have the quotas for, and that they actually aren't decimating other stocks, either by landing them? I'm sure they wouldn't do that because it's illegal, but if they don't have a quota for them, what do they do with those fish? Are they returned to the sea? Do they live? What impact does that have on our fishing waters more generally, and the balance of species and all that type of stuff? Because they're not landed, it's all done at sea, right? So who is policing them to ensure that they are, which I'm sure they are, operating completely legally, and their fishing activity is not having a knock-on impact on other species that they don't have quota for?
No, absolutely. And one of the vessels that I referred to, the Margiris, would have left a trail of basically discarded fish behind them in the Bay of Biscay in recent times. There's serious concern about the way that they are fishing, and obviously they're looking for a particular type of species, maximising profitability. It's a really unsustainable, in my opinion, form of fishing, and indeed in a hell of a lot of people's opinion. And the question you're asking is really important, Greg, because if you look at the Killybegs right now, it's a town that built up an industry of visionary people who worked really hard to build up an industry for fishing, particularly pelagic, which is basically mackerel, blue whiting, and so on. The fish that would be at the top of the ocean. And That's what they built up, and that is under serious pressure right now. And one of the big reasons why is that you have the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority, basically, that oversees and polices fishing in Ireland, who took a very, very stringent and incredibly strict approach to the catch that lands at our piers and harbours all across the state. But if you look at these huge vessels, they go back to their home country, and the standard of oversight is just day and night. So you have two different rules being applied. These massive vessels, and indeed nearly all European vessels, the standard of oversight of them versus the Irish fleet is night and day.
But with all
and
that in
impacts
mind,
on catch.
Yeah, but with all that in mind, we are now sort of at the point where you know, it's very important that the public know what you would do if we have an election, if your party's in power, and if, say, for instance, you had the marine portfolio. I recognise there's a lot of ifs in there, right? But, you know, like, these decisions are made at European level. We huff and we puff, and we try and get an extra bit here and an extra bit there. But at the end of the day, you know, we are deal takers from Europe. What could you do as the Marine Minister for Moran, for example?
Well, the problem right now is we don't actually have a minister for the marine. So we're an island nation, and we don't have a dedicated minister. We have a minister for agriculture, food and the marine, and that's Charlie McConlogue from Donegal. We have two junior ministers, and not one of them focuses on the marine, which is incredible. So that's the first big commitment, is that if Sinn Féin find herself in government, if the people want that after the next election, we would have a dedicated Minister of State for the Marine, so focusing on the brief.
Minister of State?
We would look at the Department of Marine.
You wouldn't have a full Minister for the Marine?
No, a Minister of State, when we've talked, if you talk to the fishing representative groups, they just want a dedicated minister. You know, somebody who dedicates all their time to the brief, you know, that engages with the industry, that has a plan at European level. And as you know, about a year and a half ago, Greg, I would have been out in Brussels, and myself and Chris McManus, MEP, we would have taken out the leaders of the Irish fishing industry, united them. They united together, and we ensured they got in front of the European Commission, to the top person, the Director General, who deals with fisheries, and to make their case for themselves, to speak for themselves directly. So there needs to be a change of strategy at Europe. There needs to be a dedicated resource out there. There needs to be truth spoken to power. Like, we need to talk about this huge Dutch corporation that has bought up quota across Europe, that makes a mockery of all of the language. So it's about having a genuine plan.
Excellent, and I get you. But in terms of, in other words, we could have a position, a very strong position, okay, but how does that deliver for the industry or for the people? Because Minister Charlie McConlogue, if he were on this programme right now, he would say that he huffed and he puffed and he got the best possible deal that he could for Irish fishermen. What could Sinn Féin do differently to deliver a future for Moran and for other fishers out there? Because, you know, I was talking to fishers not so long ago, and they were saying to me, is there a future? These are hard-working young people out there in this instance who are out, you know, out in the middle of the day, often having to go far out to sea, really, that it's not possibly safe, but that's where they have their, that's where they have their quotas and what have you. You know, what can you say to them? What can you promise to deliver for them if in government? Because we're at that point now, Pádraig, you know that, because, you know, it's almost go time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Greg. And I mean, I speak to the industry representatives, you know, every day all across Ireland, for Inshore, for Islands, and for all the offshore organisations. And what they ask, all of them, is that you have a dedicated focus, number one. So you have a dedicated minister that focuses on this issue. And that number two, you genuinely, that's all they're asking, that you genuinely go out and fight in Europe, that you speak truth to power, that you tell them that the common fisheries policy is an injustice to Ireland. You know, for example, right now we have negotiations where Iceland, and this is incredible, when I talked about Killybegs, I talked about Greencastle, I talked about all our piers and harbours across Donegal between Greencastle and Killybegs, you know, all of them will tell you that they're struggling. Imagine that you'd even countenance allowing Iceland, a country with a population the size of Belfast, that you would countenance allowing them to get the same amount of blue whiting as the entire Irish fleet. That is being countenanced right now at European level.
So
there has to be a point where we stand up to them.
Of course you do. You have a dedicated then junior minister, right, Minister of State. You have a firm policy that backs the industry. How does that actually deliver for them, though? I mean, it's great that, standing shoulder to shoulder and all that type of stuff, but this is about jobs and futures and what have you. What do you believe, honestly, that Sinn Féin can deliver for Irish fishermen that the current government currently isn't, other than a strong voice, dedicated junior minister? What will you be fit to deliver, do you think?
What I've outlined, Greg, is dramatically different from what's happening right now. And it's a bit like a football team that doesn't have an actual manager. As somebody who drops in, every couple of weeks and sees how they're getting on and, come on, lads, give it everything this week, and isn't there for the training, isn't there for all the other work that goes on. That's what we have right now. We don't have a dedicated manager looking at the team, looking at the game plan, having a strategy, and that's what all the industry are asking. I mean, we have to negotiate with other member states. We have to convince them of this injustice. We have to speak truth again. I say it again: speak truth to power, speak truth to the highest level of the European Commission. To the Commissioner, to the Director Generals. We need to have a dedicated presence out there. Right now, I don't think our presence is anywhere strong enough. So, I mean, that's what the industry are asking. They're asking for somebody who actually shows up, rolls up their sleeves every day, and actually genuinely tries to turn this around. That's all they're asking. That's what we're committing to.
A caller says that you spoke in support of small fishermen in the Dáil, and on the same day voted to reinstate legislation that allows these corporations to fish in our inland waters. They say effectively destroying the livelihood of small fishermen. Did you vote in favour of legislation that?
I haven't a clue what that caller's talking about.
Okay.
If you want to pass my mobile number on to that caller, I'm more than happy to speak to them, but I haven't a clue what they're talking about.
No, and I wanted to mention it to you whilst you were on air rather than mention it off air. Right, okay, but I mean, the situation is as it is. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks,
Right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Liam O'Brien's an inshore fisherman. Hi, Liam.
Hello, Greg. Good morning.
I was asking...
No, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was asking about, the policing of our waters and what have you. You believe the Navy have a role?
Well, as Parry is talking there about a football team, we have no referee in it because there's only one Navy boat, one vessel, for the amount of water that we have. We have plenty of fishery officers, SFP officers, and even that, they're not at water.
No.
But when the foreign vessels do come into our ports, nobody goes near them. But if our small vessels or our whitefish fleet or pelagic fleet come in, we're hassled by our own SFPA, our own officials, and the departments here, and these people can come down onto our waters, like you see here, where there's all this drugs coming on right through the coast from Cork to Donegal, right around. If them fishermen are not there on the coastlines and go away in them coastlines, they're more activity because there's no Navy there. They're actually getting their intelligence from other countries coming in and falling that way.
Well, I think it's generally accepted that we are seen as a soft touch in terms of bringing drugs into Europe via Ireland. I mean, in fairness, the Garda did seem to make some inroads down in Cork towards the end of last week, but that's the tip of the iceberg stuff, given the extent of our coastline.
But getting back to the fishing, like I'm in Greencastle, we're out up here now. I might see 3 fishermen and maybe 40 up to 40 boats, onshore boats down that harbour there.
Well, what are
due to mismanagement of fisheries.
Well, what are they doing then? Are the boats just tied up? Are they not getting paid to tie the boats up?
They're getting crumbs at the table, and a lot of them maybe can't afford to keep their boats maintained with COCs. Crew's a big problem. We can't get crew. I'm getting ready here now to go. What you're talking there about the pollock and that, we would fish pollock around the Donegal coast for direct fishing. I have to go to the prawns, back to the prawns this year. I've no crew, man. I can't get crew. There's actually 2 young lads left from Christmas that haven't been replaced on the harbour nanny boat. They've left, and there's no young men coming into the industry.
But so, is the industry not almost dead on its feet now then anyway? Can it be saved in your view?
It's on a life support machine. That's what it's on. It's on a life support machine at the moment. And it's not getting any better. It's getting worse, Greg. We've no young recruitment into the industry.
Mm-hmm. Also, too, the science obviously dictates it, and we're told it's the science that, we can't fish more pollock than, just focusing on the pollock for a second. And that science seems off. I don't know. There seems plenty of pollock about from the people I talk to, but I mean, that's anecdotal. I can't argue with the science. But how can the science sort of then account for these factory boats off our coast doing whatever they want to do, sucking the life out of the sea, effectively processing it and taking it wherever they might take it? We don't even benefit from landing with these vessels. How can the science keep effectively small fishermen off the water, and yet these massive factories, these floating cities can really, with very little oversight, do whatever they like a little bit further out?
I think the only way you could do that is put European observers on the vessels, that they are taking their product and not taking too much, or not taking products that is protected under quota management. Yeah. They will have to if they're coming into our waters, they have to be monitored and managed by the fisheries on board the vessel. They do it in other places. They have. I was doing surveys in the IC where the lad was going away. He had to go down to Spain to get on a vessel to go out to monitor the tuna fishing on behalf of the EU and on behalf of the Irish contingent that is fishing down there. Why can it not be done here? The same thing done here. If these vessels are entering our waters, to put on Irish marine monitors on the vessels.
Yeah. Okay. Liam, listen, always a pleasure. I have to move.
Quota that we're getting is the crumbs.
Yeah, I get you, Liam. I get you. Listen, safe fishing. I know, as you said, you're preparing to head out there.
Greg.
All right, it's a bit calmer out there today, isn't it? All right, thanks very much indeed. 08660 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
For all homeowners, Highland Radio is now offering the chance to transform your space with a €10,000 home makeover draw, plus an extra €5,000 in cash. Brought to you in association with Foy & Company. Imagine the possibilities. What could you do to your home with €10,000? Get your tickets now at highlandradio.com for a chance to make your dream home a reality. Enter today. Visit highlandradio.com.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It could kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Tagging you. Coal, tar, foil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP room, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Skoda cars are made for exploring Ireland. But let's add more style, more sexiness, more French. Skoda Fabia, Scala and Kamiq models are available in the Monte Carlo range. Black exterior details, excusez-moi, sports seats and bumpers, enchanté, and carbon decor. So chic. Order your new 2024 Skoda with more je ne sais quoi at skoda.ie. Skoda, let's explore. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
You're very welcome back to the programme, and I'm very pleased to welcome into studio Annette Sweeney, who's Learning Support Teacher and Head of Special Needs Department at St. Eunan's. Good morning to you, Annette.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling in. And we also have with us Una Murphy, who is a Special Needs Assistant. Thanks so much also, Una, for calling up.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. We are speaking. This week is International Neurodiversity Week. When we refer to neurodiversity, Annette, talk to us about that and I don't know, is it the concept of it or the meaning of it or what it encompasses?
Yes, Greg, thanks for having us up. Firstly, neurodiversity is a concept that neurological differences such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, these are all natural variations in the human brain. So rather than looking at these conditions as disorders or defects, that we're sort of looking at the whole individual. And it's a worldwide initiative, and the aim of it is really to challenge some of the stereotypes and the misconceptions that are around dyslexia and ADHD, autism, and create an awareness, I suppose, about pupils with learning difficulties, that having a diagnosis such as dyslexia, let's say, doesn't need to hold a pupil back. So quite the opposite. Sometimes it allows them to be incredibly successful in life.
And Una, because I suppose, maybe there's a stigma or when people be labelled with something, we're trying to see through that, aren't we? I mean,
I think that's something more that was in the past. I feel like we're well past now labelling children. Like Annette says, we look at the whole individual. Every child has their talent. It's up to us to find it and nurture it. And that's what I think we do really well up in St. Eunan's.
Yeah, indeed. And we were speaking to some parents whose experience in different schools can be different, right? Do you think you're doing very well at St. Eunan's, but do you think we need to sort of be having a more of a, across the board approach to this, so every parent and every child's experience is as positive as it is for those?
Absolutely, because I'm sure there can be negative experiences for children, but we have a great team on the ground up there. You try to get to know the boys. You know that they know you're there for them. That might not be their teacher they're calling on to. It might be the special needs assistant, but we can pass that on then wherever anything needs to go. As I say, we very open door policy in the AN department, and the boys can come anytime and tell us if there's something that's bothering them.
I presume too, Annette, from a teaching perspective, if you go in with your eyes open in this regard, it makes it easier for everyone, for the school and for the teachers as well, I'd imagine, that if you're geared up to deal with people with different needs, with different neurodiversity criteria, then it makes it an easier place to work, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I suppose it's that we celebrate that it's not how are you smart, it's how are you smart.
Yeah.
So some kids we do tend to judge on literacy and numeracy scores, but some pupils are amazing speakers. They're really good interpersonal skills. They could be artistic, they could be musical. So I suppose it's about championing all of that. And I suppose it's too that we're sort of moving into a new era now where people don't judge someone that's dyslexic as maybe being a slow learner, which is what it would have been maybe years ago, where when I know my parents, when they were at school, you couldn't even be left-handed. So I suppose we've sort of moved forward, and we wouldn't have the beautiful art of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, who was dyslexic. I mean, Einstein couldn't read till he was 9 and failed all his math tests up until that. So I suppose it's showing, it's really empowering these students that school may be difficult for them, but there's a great big world out there, and if they're listened to and heard at school, that we're sort of championing their abilities and their talents.
And I wanted to sometimes, Una, and I don't want to get too deep on this, but how we assess someone's intelligence, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
We are talking at the moment about reform of the Leaving Cert and what have you.
Yeah.
would we be better off if we found a more nuanced way to actually, I don't know, I was going to say judge, but it's not judge, but you know what I mean, recognise people's abilities rather than it being on reading and writing and...
Absolutely, and that we need to just find the boys' talents and nurture that. And it may not be on the Leaving Cert, or it may not be in the Junior Cert exams, but it is there. And I think if the boys feel that they're listened to, and they have maybe one good person in school, or they know a team of these good people that's there to support them, and sometimes the boys, I might be chatting to them about the live march that they're watching, or about Scania lorries, and we would chat about that as much as we chat about what they're reading in English.
Yeah, and I also too think it benefits all students, doesn't it? And we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening throughout the week. But rather than it being a situation whereby individuals who are neurodiverse being seen as, different or whatever, I think it gives the whole school population a better understanding that we are all the same. We'll just maybe have little differences here and there.
Yeah, that we all have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, that's it.
And in the planning for this week, I reached out to some celebrities and well-known people who have dyslexia. So they've, Rory O'Connor from Rory's Stories sent a really beautiful personal message to the boys. He's such an inspiration. He's dyslexic and ADHD and is now writing his 5th best-selling book. So for the boys to hear that, it's so empowering. That he struggled at school and he's such a success. Also, Brendan O'Carroll sent a lovely message yesterday that we're going to play all these messages now to the pupils this week.
Lovely. Eric Roberts.
Yes.
Jason Black. You mentioned Rory O'Connor from Rory's Stories. And also, Donegal Daddy is going to be visiting the school.
Yeah. So they're all championing the cause and creating this whole awareness. And like what you said, it's like creating an inclusive school. And I suppose it's really that people look at someone with a neurological difference as not less than, that they have their unique strengths and talents as well, and we need that in society. We need that.
And it's interesting because I would say there's a mixture in there, and I know some, I don't know all, Una, of people that went through the school process but only got a diagnosis relatively recently. And I have spoken to people like that in the past, and then it's like everything makes sense sort of a moment.
Yeah, and that's really good for that person to have that. Even if it is later in life, I'm sure they probably struggled in school not having a diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't define the person either.
Okay, and there's other stuff coming up as well. World Down Syndrome Days on Thursday, which I was speaking to Lee off air about just before that. There's an odd socks competition. Finally, something I could accidentally win.
Yeah. Well, we could all win that one.
And a coffee morning on Friday as well. Talk to me about that.
It's just to sort of create a little bit of a buzz around the school and to sort of get maybe all of these boys together just to see how many, that they're not alone and that there's so many in the school now that access support and it's not something to be not to be proud of and have their teachers there and the SNAs. We have an incredible team in St. Junan's of teachers, and we have fantastic staff. We would not be able to do our jobs as teachers without SNA support. So we're really, really lucky.
But I presume too also you do see the fruits of this approach, don't you, in the students?
Yeah, you do. I know now for a few of my students, they just love having the chat. And as I say, we don't always get to do it, but when we do, you can tell they're enjoying it. And that's what you want. You want them coming in and enjoying some part of school. It might not be what's happening in the classroom all the time, but there's plenty of other activities they can get involved in. We've lots of lunch clubs that's available to the boys every day, and that's sometimes where they have their fun.
Yeah, okay. Anything else you want to mention, Annette? You're the one brought in all the paper with you.
No, that's it. It's really just to sort of just highlight what we're doing really in St. Junan's, and I suppose this is our first week. We registered for taking part in the International Neurodiversity Week. It's our first time ever doing this, so I suppose we'll add to it as years as year on year we'll add to it. So that's really all I wanted to say, really.
A caller says, and there was there was some other rang in just on the other topic that I was speaking about how her struggles with her particular school. I'm not saying where it is or what have you, but it was the fact that what come across for me in the conversation with her is that she felt very isolated, that she thought she was the only one going through this with her son, and the struggles to sort of
I think that's
it's nice to talk about it publicly, and the reason I mention that because Caller says it's such a relief hearing this on air. Long gone are the days of the slow class. And I think that's a really important part of this week.
I think that there is sort of still a stigma. There's still that, where students feel that they're going to learn support teacher, and there isn't enough like people like my generation that would talk about whether they were dyslexic. So sometimes these celebrities coming out and saying, I had this challenge and I've overcome it and I'm successful. So that's the whole real purpose of this week, is to kind of just get rid of that, to be proud to be dyslexic or have autism. Because there's so many unique talents associated with that.
And a theme of this week too is creativity, isn't it? And that will be put out throughout the school, but also using TikTok, of course, where you can be as creative as you want to be. So people can check that out from outside the school too, as well, presumably on the school TikTok.
Yeah. All the videos and everything that we're talking about will be shared on our St. Junan's Facebook page, so everyone will be able to see all the different things that we're doing this week.
A caller wants to know, do either of you have a view on the higher and lower labelling of classes in school?
Well, it's mixed ability. And that's...
I think we do have to have a system, though, whereby we can ensure that people maximise their abilities for academic
I think it's
level.
Important that
there has to be some structure in there, doesn't it? So I don't think sort of I wouldn't say level in the playing field, but I think you do need some of those structures in there, don't you? For universities and all that come. Is there anything that you wish to add, Una?
No, I just hope the boys have a really good week up in St. Junan's, and we're very excited now to get involved this week and looking forward to the odd sock competition on Thursday.
Excellent. I think I get a sense too that you're all very proud of the students and the SNAs and the other teachers, what they're doing there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant stuff. Okay.
Can I just say hello to my mum, Cassie, out in Trenta? I'm just going to tell her she can blow out the holy candle now. I'm going off air.
But I'm going to ask you again, Annette, like I ask other guests who come in and don't want to do it. Was it that bad?
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
If you asked Cassie, Cassie would have told you. Greg's all right. He'll make it easy. He'll go easy on you. All right. Listen, well done to you. Thank you so much. And it's going to be a lovely week. I've absolutely no doubt. The coffee morning, is that for the school, or can people drop in, or what?
No, it's just for the students and the teachers, just to create a community within the school.
All right. Brilliant stuff. Okay. And World Down Syndrome Day Thursday, which will be great fun. And it's lovely, as you say, to get the words of the likes of Brendan, Eric, Jason, brilliant achievers in their chosen fields, all doing different types of stuff, lots of creativity and all that type of stuff as well. All right, both of you, thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you,
I really appreciate you calling in. That's Annette Sweeney and Una Murphy from St. Eunan's.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Kia is now making it easier to go green, offering 0% finance on the all-new Kia Niro. With an impressive 460-kilometre range on a single charge, the Niro ensures you can go the distance without compromise. Visit imotors.ie today and avail of this limited offer.
Colin here from Sweeney's Home Value Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Are you starting a new build or planning a renovation anytime soon? Why not give us a call today for quotation for all your building needs? Whether it's steel or insulation, timber or slates, we have it all at Sweeney's Builders Providers, Lettermack Award and Derrybeg. Call 074 95 44 114. And now with delivery all across Donegal, at Sweeney's Builders Providers, we have it all.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. You don't visit Liverpool for the weather, but it does rain goals at Anfield. Fly to Liverpool daily with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Yeah, and it rained goals to Old Trafford too at the weekend, didn't it? Okay, the weather forecast. Dry for many today with sunny spells and just scattered showers. However, it'll turn cloudier later this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees in light winds, and keep an eye out on the potential for a bit of a cold blast before the end of March is out. Some long rangers suggesting that could be the case. A caller says it's amazing the amount of talented people who can become overlooked because of labels. Well, let's get rid of that too. We all have a role in it, and even little conversations on small shows like this, it all helps down the line, doesn't it? Lots of you texting in on electricity bills and also fishing. So we're going to get to all of that in the next hour. Just to remind you, coming up after 10 o'clock, after the news and obituary notices with Donal, we will have Community Garda information, where we'll bring you the very latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána, first and live here on the 9 till noon show.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Nutrius XL Yo with Lamb and Nutrius Yo with Lamb Crunch are formulated to ensure a vigorous lamb and excellent milk yield. Avail of our lambing season offer. 25 kg bags, buy 10, get 1 free. And €15 off per tonne in bulk. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
If you're tired and struggling to put a spring in your step, discover the power of Revive Active at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Revive Active is an award-winning super supplement containing 26 active ingredients, including vitamin C, D and zinc, which support your immune system, all in one handy daily sachet. Made for busy, stressful lives, it's the convenient way to put back what life takes out. Enrich your life with Revive Active. In-store or online, click and collect from brennanspharmacy.com. We're here for you.
The life of a Charlie's chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose their jacket, have a nice wash, and get into shape. Before going out, there's always a few nerves, totally unnecessary, because, let's face it, they always go down well. Enjoy Charlie's chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. The EU Parliament has unanimously accepted the report of a deputation of MEPs who visited Donegal and other affected counties late last year as part of a Petitions Committee investigation into the Defective Block's scandal. The vote was held in the past hour. Meanwhile, it's emerged Defective Block homeowners in Donegal are living with rodents as a result of the damage threshold contained in the Enhanced Defective Concrete Block scheme. The stipulation included means homeowners must be able to show evidence of at least 1 millimetre of cracks in their property and not have carried out any minor repairs. And if they do so, even because of the threat of rodents, then they will be deemed as ineligible. Chair of the MICA Action Group, Lisa Hone, says that must change.
He's been passed over from putting the application in to Donegal County Council with full IS 465 reports. They have a full lab analysis showing that they have issues with defective concrete, internal sulfate attack, evidence of pyrite, and photographic evidence of the damage at the time that the IS 465 report was done. Since then, they have filled in the cracks thinking, yes, it's all recorded, and now they found themselves not meeting the damage threshold and not being able to get onto the scheme.
The convicted Garda killer Pierce Macaulay has been found dead at his home in Strabane. It's believed the 59-year-old died from natural causes. He was part of the IRA gang that shot dead Detective Garda Jerry McCabe in Limerick in 1996, 5 years after escaping from Brixton Prison in London. The government's being urged to postpone a planned increase in excise duty on fuels, which is scheduled to come into force on April 1st. A second increase is planned for the end of August. In the UK spring budget earlier this month, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt announced that the UK will postpone any increases for at least the next 12 months. However, the lobby group Fuel for Ireland says an Irish move to restore fuel taxes to pre-COVID levels is set to go ahead this year, and this will lead to a huge difference in prices at the pumps, with retailers in southern border counties like Donegal being put at a severe disadvantage. They say the price differential between the border counties and the north could be 15 cent a litre, or perhaps even more. Kevin McPartlin is CEO of Fuels for Ireland. He says if people start crossing the border for fuel, it'll hit state revenues as well as his fuel retail members.
I think it's essential that we have a really long, hard look at how fuels are taxed on a comprehensive basis. This is just an example of poorly constructed pick and mix approach to excise duties and taxes on fuels. We need a comprehensive review, but it needs to be quite urgent because this is coming into effect in the next few weeks, and we need to make sure that we're not damaging border counties, the provision of services to them, and the revenue to the state.
Parents and guardians of children with special education needs in the final year of primary school are having severe difficulty finding suitable secondary school places. ADHD Ireland says demand for specialised services exceeds availability for new first-year students. Its CEO, Ken Kilbride, says a coordinated plan between the HSE and the Department of Education is now vital.
There needs to be better coordination between the HSE, who provide assessment and treatment for children with ADHD and other conditions, and the Department of Education, because you find an awful lot of children get bounced between the two. The HSE say it's an education problem, it's nothing to do with us. We then go on to the education and say it's a mental health problem, you carry back to the HSE.
A Garda is due in court this morning over alleged corruption in Dublin. He's the second Garda to be charged as part of the investigation. With more, here's Stephanie Rowan.
The Garda Anti-Corruption Unit has been carrying out investigations into a particular Garda unit based in Dublin. 4 Gardaí have been suspended from duty as a result, and last week one appeared in court. The 39-year-old was charged with perverting the course of justice and burglary and is due back in court in May. Now officers say a second Garda has been charged as part of the investigation, and he's due in court this morning.
And aid agencies are calling for all crossings into Gaza to be opened for deliveries of much needed supplies. It comes amid warnings from the UN that over 1 million people in the enclave are facing catastrophic hunger. Diplomatic efforts are being stepped up to establish a ceasefire and deter Israel from launching a fresh ground assault on Rafah. UNICEF Ireland's Peter Power says they need access to the territory to prevent children from dying.
All of the agencies are calling for literally all the crossings to be open and for aid to flood in. That is the only thing that is going to stop, I regret to say, thousands of children from dying, because it is the rate at which famine has arrived in Gaza is what is really concerning.
Weather forecast dry in many places today with sunny spells, just some scattered showers about. It will turn cloudier though later this afternoon. Top temperatures on today, Tuesday, of 10 to 12 degrees Celsius in light winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all of today's news, of course, on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 19th of March. The death has occurred of Sally Kelly, Liz Mulladuff, Crossroads, Killygordon, reposing at the family home from 12 noon today. Funeral from the family home on Thursday morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon, with interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has occurred of Terry Smith, 39, Retreat Park, Athlone, Westmeath, formerly of Bridgend, Donegal. Terry will repose at his residence in Athlone today and tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Athlone on Thursday morning at 10:30, followed by cremation at 3 o'clock in Lakeland's Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Cancer Society. The death has taken place of John O'Neill, Boya, Port Hall, Donegal, and formerly Camus Road, Strabane, County Tyrone. John is reposing at his late residence today from 12 noon to 9 p.m. with rosary at 8. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Bathan's Church, St Johnson for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in Derry City Cemetery. House private, please, before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of Niall Carberry, Pound Street, Rathmunnon, formerly of Meenadone, Fintown. Niall is reposing at his home. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Joseph's Church, Rathmunnon, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Rosary nightly at 9. Family time, please, from after the Rosary and before the funeral tomorrow. The funeral Mass will be streamed live on MCN Live. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Maureen Corcoran, Kilmacrennan. Funeral Mass in St Finian's Church, Falcarra, this morning at 11 with interment afterwards in the adjacent cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Ailish Mulligan, née Durning, Ballybose, Falcarra. Ailish's remains are reposing at the family home today from 12 noon until Rosary at 9. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in Chocfubble, Naomh, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. Family time, please, after the Rosary and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of Frances McGinley, née Doherty, 2 Letterkenny Road, Lifford, formerly of Cloughfin, Ballindrate. Funeral leaving her home this morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlough at 11. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Eileen Carlin, Crossroads, Killygordon. Funeral leaving her son Declan's home at Crossroads, Killygordon this morning at 20:11 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on the parish YouTube channel. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Vincent de Paul, Crossroads, Killygordon, care of any family member. And the death has occurred of Michael McMonigal, Boyoctor, Leitrimecca Ward. Funeral Mass in St Bridget's Church, Leitrimecca Ward at 12 noon today, with interment afterwards in the new cemetery. House private, please, before the funeral. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With 20 meals for under €20. That's right, mighty meals every weeknight for a family of 4 for under €20. How about spaghetti and meatballs Monday? Or Tuesday, sizzling vegetable stir fry. There's chicken steak, potato wedges and carrots, plus chicken oyster thighs, butternut squash mash and peas. And Friday's favourite, fish, rice and munch too. No vouchers, no apps, no messing. Follow the path to lower prices. Go all Aldi.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes.
You're very welcome back to the programme, and good morning if you're just after joining us. I think you missed out on an interesting hour, which you can revisit on our podcast, available on our website in the listen back section shortly after we go off air, in fact. Or you can always watch back on our social media. Hi Greg, while a grateful effort is made among community groups in the Letterkenny Parade, having only one band in attendance, I was disappointed from a musical perspective. An overseas band from the US, like many towns further south do next year, could be an option. Okay, I wasn't at that parade. I was at 2 parades, in fact, in Carragart and Downings at the weekend. Missed the Donegal Town Parade this weekend. Very good, as always. Great parades and some witty entrants too, some witty floats as well. Who won the Karaoke King on the Jamboree on Friday? Oh, right, okay. I haven't a clue, actually. Probably no one messaged in at that point. I don't know. I think Oisín edged it. What do you think? If you were listening, I think Oisín definitely... he picked a good song, though, you see. The song you choose is often what sets you apart there. But I would say Oisín won, but I don't know what the official result was. It's a pity that girls are still ignored when it comes to being assessed for autism. I'm autistic, as is my daughter, whom her school ignored and told me we are all on the spectrum. Tell us a little bit more about that, actually, if you don't mind. Hi, my son has been diagnosed with dyslexia at university. He went through primary school and secondary school undiagnosed, although he received English support at primary school. He scored 605 points in the Leaving Cert. It didn't hold him back. Hi, Greg. Great show as usual. Quick question. We live on an island, living in Inshore. Why can't we get fresh fish locally? When I ask, it's all exported. You go to Spain on holiday and you can go down the street and buy what you want. We would eat more local fish if it was sold more locally. A fish and chip shop now is over 10 years. Fish and chips is now over €10 and it's not even cod. Fish is getting very expensive in the takeaways, all right, and in restaurants. But of course, it's more expensive for the... but it is crazy, right? One of our biggest attributes, shouldn't it be, is our amazing locally caught fish without all the red tape, sold at a really good price. Can you imagine? It would be fantastic. But, often you wonder where the fish you're eating locally came from. Greg, you're asking about the science of it. This is the ESB bills, I imagine. Sorry, the electricity bills. Whose science is it? Who paid... Sorry. This is in relation to fishing, sorry. Greg, you asked about the science of it. Whose science is it? Who paid for the study? Follow the money and you'll see exactly who paid for it. Fishing is not the problem. It's mega trawlers scraping the bottom of the sea and killing everything in its path. That's what needs to be banned. Your caller is right. Corporations run this world. Never mind the fishing industry in all areas of life. The more you read, the more shocking it becomes. And they keep this control because the people hand their power to governments. And governments, instead of working for people through rules and regulations, eventually work for them. People are not aware of their power, their rights. People need to unite against the current system. Stop accepting the crumbs from the corporate elite table and take action in the next election. As it relates to the ESB bills, hi, Greg, you could read a doctor's note easier than reading the electricity bill, indeed. Hi, Greg, I was the same as you with my electricity bill. I hadn't a clue, so I decided to look at it. I went through all my bills over the course of a year and wrote down the units used. Just subtract the two readings to get this. It shows clearly the usage for each month, which makes it easy to see when you use your most electricity, most likely throughout the winter. Doing this should highlight any random usage which might show an error. It worked for me and I keep doing it now so I can compare the same period each year. Fair play. And that's probably what I need to do. And perhaps I'm spoiled because if you put €50 of petrol or diesel in your car, it gives you an estimate of how far you can travel with it, and then it tells you when it's about to run out and you top up again. It's very simple, right? Electricity, I get that you're switched on to it, you're getting your bills out, you're subtracting this from that, and it just, why can it not be really, really clear to the consumer? Paddy's Day or not, Duns have to... this is back to the Duns thing, because we got we got a few messages on this. I want to mention this. Okay, a number of cars were locked in a private retail car park in Letterkenny at 6 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day, apparently. And there've been a mixed response by our listeners as to how much leeway should have been given on account of the public holiday. So we posted this on social media. This was in and around Letterkenny to see what the great public thought. And a caller says, it clearly says closed at 6 p.m. It was a holiday, yes, but not for the people who had to work there. Why should staff have to stay to wait for all the people to arrive back whenever they felt they should? Entitled behaviour. A lot of people would have left their car behind them as well, so I don't even know how you could have stayed back to police that, because there's some people wouldn't have been picking the car up at all. I wasn't in yesterday or affected by this, but I think it was mean-spirited to do this to the people. Another, it's in the title, private retail car park. They were right and justified to close the gate. Otherwise, it would have been expected every time there's something on. They've got no obligation to the public who are not using their shop. To be fair, they didn't close the car park on traffic activity, trying to get out. The cars were vacant. And who's to know what time they would have returned? A little less entitlement from people and a little more taking responsibility is probably the way forward. It's fair to say that the sympathy threshold is pretty low. Another, if they had to pay for parking, they would have been back on time. They knew the place closed at 6. The staff themselves are entitled to go home and try and enjoy what was left of St. Patrick's Day rather than sit about waiting on people to come back from restaurants and pubs so they can close the gate. Another, can't expect the workers to stay back when they've been stuck in all day. They deserve a Paddy's Day as well. I would imagine that for insurance reasons the gate has to be closed. Well, listen, if the gate wasn't closed, next thing you know, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, maybe some people land up in cars and start doing donuts. I don't know. Anyway, lots of people, the majority of people in relation to that are in support of the closure of that car park at 6, even if it did mean that some people didn't have access to their cars. Right. Community Garda information on the way.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 19th of March. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 12. The numbers are 73, 57, 67, 81, 51, 70, 71, 33, 74, and finally 20. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
With a high digital online skills course, you'll feel a real difference.
I can listen to all the music I like. The bus app that's coming out, it's brilliant.
Anything you want to know, it's at their fingertips.
They're small things, but they mean something.
Learn essential online skills with simple, accessible lessons at highdigital.ie or free phone 1800 20 30 30. Brought to you by Vodafone Foundation and Alone. Vodafone. Together we can.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Bluebird Care are currently recruiting carers and nurses across Donegal, with immediate starts available in Letterkenny, Ballybuffet, Inshore and Donegal town areas. Your career with Bluebird Care starts here, with new attractive pay rates, travel assistance, paid training courses and ongoing career progression opportunities. Why not contact Bluebird Care on 074 91 29562 or learn more at bluebirdcarecareers.ie. Bluebird Care, more than just a career in care.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Okay, it's approaching 20 minutes past 10 on this Tuesday, the 19th of March 2024, and it's time for this week's edition of Community Garda Information. And I'm joined in studio by Garda Sergeant Charlene Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Greg.
Quite a bit to get through, so we'll get straight into it. And the Garda is seeking the public's help in relation to a fatal road traffic collision.
That's correct. So Garda are investigating a fatal road traffic collision, Greg, that involving a lorry and a pedestrian that occurred on the R245 at Maharenan in Letterkenny shortly before 6 a.m. on Friday morning, the 15th of March. The pedestrian, a male in his 30s, was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. The lorry driver was uninjured. So we're appealing this morning for any witnesses to the collision to come forward, any road users who may have dash cam footage, and anyone that was travelling on the R245 at Maharenan in Letterkenny between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. that morning. We'd ask them to make the footage available if they have it to Gardaí, or indeed they can come and speak to us at Letterkenny Garda Station, or they can contact the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111.
A 3-vehicle collision is also being investigated.
That's correct. So Garda are appealing for witnesses to a 3-vehicle collision that occurred on the N56, and this occurred at Elistrin in Letterkenny on Wednesday the 13th of March at approximately 10 p.m. Now 2 of the drivers and 1 passenger were taken to hospital to receive medical treatment for serious but non-life-threatening injuries. So once again, if anyone witnessed the collision, we'd ask them to contact Garda in Milford this time on 9153060. And of course, if anyone travelled on that stretch of road around the time, we'd ask them if they have dash cam footage once again to make that available to Gardaí in Milford.
Investigations ongoing into an assault in Ballantrae.
That's correct. So Gardaí and Ballyshannon are investigating an assault that occurred in the early hours of Monday, the 18th of March, at Main Street, Ballintra. Now, the incident, in which one man was believed to have been assaulted by two other men, occurred shortly before 1:30 a.m, as I said, at Main Street, Ballintra. So if anyone witnessed the incident, or indeed if they have any relevant information about it, they could contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 98 58530.
Okay, criminal damage being investigated in Buncrana too.
So Buncrana Gardaí are investigating a criminal damage incident, and this occurred at Main Street, Buncrana, on Friday the 15th of March between 11:30pm and 11:40pm. Now, a group of males were walking down the main street when one of them struck the window of a pub as he passed, causing the large pane of glass to crack. So it's believed that the group then left the area in a grey van shortly after the incident. So just appeal to anyone who may have been in the vicinity, who may have been around Main Street, Buncrana, may have witnessed the incident, or indeed knows anything about the incident. And once again, if anyone was travelling in the area and has dashcam footage, we'd ask them to make that available to Gardaí in Buncrana on 9320540.
And just in relation to that, the Gardaí do all the difficult work. They'll download the footage and seek out what might be of use or what. You're not expecting the public to cut and all that type of stuff. The Gardaí will do that. It's a simple enough process.
That's correct. If they just make contact and make us aware that they have the footage, we'll get somebody back in touch with them and we'll get that downloaded.
Brilliant stuff. Theft of sheep in the Downings area now.
Yeah, this time Gardaí in Milford are investigating the theft of 7 in-lamb ewes, and that was from Gorthamore area in Downings between 6pm on Saturday the 9th of March and 11am on Sunday the 10th of March. Now, the ewes have faded red markings and they are tagged, so if anyone has any relevant information in relation to this particular theft, we'd ask them to contact Gardaí in Milford on 9153060.
And theft from a car in Letterkenny.
That's correct, Greg. So Gardaí and Letterkenny are investigating the theft of a blue Nissan Qashqai, and the registration number is 07CE6346, and this was taken from St Eunan's Court in Letterkenny on the morning of Tuesday the 12th of March. So once again, if anyone has any information in relation to the current whereabouts of the vehicle, maybe perhaps they've seen the vehicle, we'd ask them to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100, or as always, the Garda Confidential line is there on 1800 666 111.
Brilliant stuff. Now, a reminder about Social Inclusion Week.
So as part of Social Inclusion Week 2024, Donegal County Council and Donegal PPN are hosting a number of events for One Donegal Social Inclusion Week. So we're delighted to be taking part in Social Inclusion Week again this year, Greg, and it's taking place from the 16th of March to the 24th. There's a cybercrime awareness, and that's going to be highlighted at a number of events during the week, and the focus will be on the 4 Ps, which are of course the password, permissions, payment and participants. So full list of events are available on the Donegal County Council website, Donegal PPN Facebook, and of course our own Facebook page. And we just encourage everyone to get involved if possible.
Definitely. Okay, so just a couple of questions carried over from last week, if that's all right, Charlene. Okay. A caller said, about 2 weeks ago, I was driving to Donegal Town and I met a group of cyclists at 9 a.m. on the road. They were all over the road and getting past them was impossible. What are the rules with a group like this? What happened to the single files rules?
Yeah, so cyclists, they can cycle 2 abreast, and there is a section of the Road Traffic Act that covers that. That's Article 47. You must not cycle more than 2 abreast, except when overtaking, and that it does not interfere or endanger or obstruct other traffic. I suppose, look, Greg, in the interest of safety, it's important that cyclists obey the rules of the road. There is a number of fixed charge penalty notices that have been issued, or that have been recently brought in. It's €40 fine for cyclists, and there's a number of conditions, of course, if they're driving without reasonable consideration, if they fail to stop at school traffic lights, at red lights, if they have to have lights on their bike and the lights have to be, I suppose, working during darkness, and there's €40 fine, as I said, for that. So that is there. If people, I suppose, if they witness incidents where there is dangerous cycling, I was nearly going to say dangerous driving, but dangerous cycling by cyclists in groups, perhaps they're 4 or 5 abreast on the road, it's no harm maybe to contact ourselves in relation to it. Sometimes, I suppose, people, their groups go out together and they're just chatting, and I've come across it myself where I have seen 3 or 4 cyclists cycling along. It is quite dangerous. It is 2 abreast. That is the rule. That is the legislation. And as I said, Article 47 of the Road Traffic Act covers that.
And, you know, at the end of the day too, we can, me and you, but we can pitch motorists versus cyclists versus pedestrians versus lorry drivers or whatever it might be. At the end of the day, we all have a responsibility.
We do.
Whether you're a cyclist or a motorist or what have you. And I don't think any of us would want to willingly or knowingly either lose our lives or be involved in that. Do you know what I mean? So we have to all respect each other, and that includes cyclists respecting motorists and vice versa. A caller asked too, where can I get property marked where can I get property marked, or can you advise where I can purchase the pen marker that marks property? I recently bought a drive-on lawnmower and just want to mark it. Now, there's a couple of things going on here. Firstly, obviously, you guys hold regular property marking events. I'm not sure in terms of what you do at home. I don't know, but you can answer that, I suppose.
Yeah, so we do, as you said, we hold regular property marking events. I suppose the last one was a couple of weeks ago in Buncrana. Now, there will be dates for maybe the end of April and the beginning of May, and they will be advertised on our social media page. And of course, we mention it on the programme as well. I suppose if the caller would just like to make contact with us directly, there's any of the Garda stations they can contact. We can advise them accordingly. And we have the property marking machines. There's one in Buncrana at the minute. I believe there's another one in Letterkenny. And if it's a thing that they want to pop into the station, we can make arrangements to get their property marked for them.
And is that logged, or is that logged anywhere, or is it just the fact that the property owner can keep a record of that to match in the event of it being stolen and found?
We would encourage the property owners to do that, to keep their own records and their own logs. Okay. And it's a unique number that's unique to them. It could be a date of birth, it could be a number that they're familiar with, it could be initials. It's whatever they want to put on the property that's identifiable then for them in the event that the property is stolen. Now, we don't keep a record of that, but in the event that it was marked and then it was stolen thereafter, they'd be able to provide us with those details then. And of course, obviously that will assist any investigation that we would have.
Because a significant proportion of stolen property, I'm not saying the most of it, but a lot of it is recovered. And the struggle can be getting that property back to its rightful owner. There's no point saying, I have a red lawnmower, that looks like mine. You know what I mean? You need some evidence to back that up.
Correct.
Back to cyclists, last question. Can you ask the Garda, if a greenway is built alongside the main road, is it compulsory for cyclists and pedestrians to use it? And they include cycling clubs.
Lots of questions today.
I know.
So cyclists can choose not to use the cycle lane, cycle paths, except in very limited circumstances. The use of contraflow cycle tracks and cycle tracks in pedestrianised areas are mandatory, Greg. The use of cycle lanes, etc., are, however, recommended for safety reasons, and pedestrians should always use a footpath where one is provided for their safety and the safety of other road users. Now, look, there is greenways and trails, and they've been built, and I suppose we have one down from Muff over towards Quigley's Point there. They're just working on it at the moment. They're exclusively for cyclists, for pedestrians and for other non-motorised transport. And I suppose they're wide enough to accommodate shared usage. And absolutely, when they're there for a reason. And it is, again, a safety for for everybody, for the road users as well. And I suppose when the greenways are there, we would encourage cyclists, pedestrians to use them.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends. Some of the cycle lanes, maybe that one's a very smooth top of the range one that you're talking of, I think. But some of them, for people on the fasts, some of these bicycles go 40 kilometres an hour, 35 kilometres an hour. I suppose maybe that's what discourages them sometimes from using them. It's a complete coincidence that we're talking about cyclists, and we're also going to mention Garda Sergeant Paul Wallace. I think he's also a bike user, if I'm not mistaken, but he has jacked it in eventually, finally.
Well, that's one way of putting it, yes. I suppose after 39 years, look, we just like to take this opportunity this morning to wish Sergeant Paul Wallace, the Divisional Crime Prevention Officer, wish him well in his retirement. Paul actually served, he worked his last day there on St. Patrick's Day. He was down the town in Letterkenny on the beach saying goodbye to everyone. As I said, he retires from Garda Síochána after 39 years, and he was the Divisional Crime Prevention Officer in Donegal since 2002. For me personally, it's been a pleasure working with Paul, and I know the same for his colleagues. And look, we wish him all the best going forward, and it was a pleasure having worked with him.
Indeed, and we've worked with him extensively on this programme as well, and he's provided an awful lot of information, always has been available for us, and actually hopefully we can touch base with him and still use his broad knowledge on things, but in his official role, in his official capacity as a member of An Garda Síochána, Sinead.
That's it.
All right, okay. Listen, thank you so much, Charlene. I really appreciate you calling up, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Greg.
That was Community Garda information for this Tuesday, the 19th of March, 2024. Now, we will have that available for you, of course, in bite-sized forms across the news throughout the day, but also you can watch back in full on our social media a little later on, and it'll also be linked onto An Garda Síochána's Facebook page. But for now, we'll leave it there, and we'll be back with that item after 10 o'clock next Tuesday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
There's more furniture than ever on display in the extended showroom at McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny. More sofas and suites, more bedroom and dining room furniture, and much more occasional furniture. If you're adding to your home or making some changes, call into McGinley's Furniture, Portlink, Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny, or visit mcginleysfurniture.com.
At CS Architectural Salvage, you'll find reclaimed white plank floorboards, polished beams, pine and oak beams sawn to customers' requirements, and waxed finish, Belfast street lamps, and garden furniture. CS Architectural Salvage, Campsie Industrial Estate, Eglinton. Call 04871 812 999.
It's time to laugh out loud. Tommy Marin here. My new Irish comedy play, Matches and Old Flames, comes to Letterkenny.
It's time we unlocked your handcuffs and let both of you loose.
I am not handcuffed.
Neither am I. You can have mine if you want them.
Matches and Old Flames on Grainon Letterkenny, Friday, March 29th and Saturday 30th. Book now at ongrainon.com.
Did you know Tinny's Toys stock top toy brands like the Care Bears, VTech, Leapfrog, Lamaze, Playmobil, Tonka, and much more? We also have a massive range of outdoor toys like swings, slides, swing ball, goalposts, and rebounders. And don't forget, we're still Ireland's largest farm toy superstore. Open Monday to Saturday, Leck Road, Letterkenny, or online at tinnystoys.com.
Are you ready for massive savings with AEG at Irwin Expert Electrical? Purchase from now until the 14th of April and claim your cash back at aeg-offers.com. Experience top-notch appliances and enjoy the added perk of cashback delivered straight to your account within 28 days of approval. Elevate your home with AEG excellence and savings today. Don't miss out. AEG cashback at Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
For new perspectives and a fresh vision, join me, Greg Hughes, on the 9 till noon show every Thursday at 10:15 for your voice, your community. And you're very welcome back to the programme. A school in Donegal has that made the switch from teaching in Irish to English in the 70s has now returned to its original roots. Anne-Marie Icky is principal of Scoil Angel Coheja and joins us on the programme now. Hopefully I've got through that okay. Anne-Marie, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. How are you? Good.
Right, this is Kedu National School. It's got its Gaelscoil status once again. What is the history here? Why did it switch from Irish to English in the 70s, I wonder? Is that clear?
I think at the time there was a large number enrolled in the school and there was lots of different needs at the time. And the department had suggested that they move to English because I suppose the supports weren't there at the time like they would be nowadays. So they just suggested that they move to English medium.
I presume it's an easier process to move from Irish to English than it might be from English to Irish.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier now, yeah. Okay. I suppose with this being a non-Irish speaking area, it would have suited maybe a lot of the community at that time as well. So yeah, it would have been easier.
So how long has work been ongoing to return to teaching in Irish?
So we signed up to the Schema Hintus in 2017. It was a 5-year process. It was slightly delayed with COVID and so on. So this is us now. Just we had our inspection there at the beginning of last month, and were awarded the status then. So yeah, it's kind of a staged process, if you like.
And is it more of a challenge being a Gaelscoil based in an area, that is not a Gaeltacht area? And if so, why?
I suppose it would be with there not being much Irish in the area, but we're hoping now with us being Irish medium that we will, kind of entice parents to send their children to us here to get their education through Irish medium. There are so many advantages to it. The parents are always under the assumption that they need Irish at home in order to send their children to Irish medium, but that's not the case. Irish medium, total immersion education does work, and that, kids don't need that much support with homework. If it's done in school, they shouldn't need too much at home. It's pitched at their level. So that's one of the reasons a lot of parents might be iffy about it, but that's totally not the case.
You have 20 students currently. Interestingly, 5 of them are Ukrainian, so 25% of your school population is Ukrainian. Is there a transition, or is there going to be a dual pathway here? Like, I'm kind of thinking, was it difficult to bring parents on board with this, sort of to change mid-education?
No, the parents here and our school community were very open to changing over to Irish. We had their full support, and they were, I think we kind of had an advisory process before we signed up for this, and consulted with I suppose all stakeholders, board of management, staff, and parents, we put it to the parents, about the advantages of Irish medium education, and, they were more than supportive in the whole process.
And in terms of the benefits for children in being taught through an Irish medium, it's not anecdotal, it's proven, isn't it? There are studies in this regard.
There are indeed, yeah. You have your fluency and literacy in 2 languages. They've also got a better foundation of languages, which enables them to learn a 3rd and 4th language a lot easier. And then you have the cognitive advantages as well. It's proven that children that learn through Irish medium or through any other language medium are more creative thinkers. They can sustain their focus, pay attention, concentrate better. And then you have the educational attainment then, where it's proven that they get higher scores in maths and English.
Now, 20 students at the moment is relatively small, and I suppose if we hadn't seen Ukrainians moving here for the reasons that we're all well aware of, it would be 15 potentially, which is relatively small. Do you hope that this move will help grow the school population further?
Yeah, we do indeed. We're the only school in the area that has made this transition from English to Irish. So we're hoping that, that we can offer what other schools can't. So our enrolments are currently opened at the minute. So we're hoping now to get a few enrolled now for this coming school year. Yeah,
and just to reiterate, want to address maybe any concerns parents and guardians might have about, the child doesn't have any Irish at the moment, or they don't have any Irish in the house. I think you mentioned it really early on that you want to allay those concerns, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. As I say, I suppose it's a bit daunting for parents if they don't speak the language themselves, but it is proven that total immersion education does work. And, when a parent sends their child to an Irish medium education, they really are giving them an advantage in life, with all those extra cognitive abilities, fluency, literacy in 2 languages, and then maybe opens up the doors for more languages in the future. And then you have the attainment as well. I mean, for Leaving Cert, the children now have the option to do their tests, their exams through Irish as well, which will in turn give additional marks as well. So, it really is a no-brainer. It's just, I suppose, that we help the parents realise that they don't need Irish.
Okay, well, enrolling is open right now. Keju National School, Scoil Angle Coheja is currently open for enrolment, and I presume if any parents, guardians have any questions, you're more than happy to field those, Anne-Marie.
Of course, yeah. You can contact me here in the school anytime. Our email address is saac.ceideadh@gmail.com, or you can give us a ring on 074 95 42268.
All right, it's the end of a long process, 8 years in the making. Well done to all, and best of luck with the future. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care. It's Slan. It's been lovely speaking to you. That was Amri Icky here, who is principal of School on Gaelscoil. That is Cadu National School. It's got Gaelscoil status once again. They have 20 students at the moment. It's really interesting. 25% of the student population are Ukrainian children. They'll be learning in Irish going forward. And if you want to join that school, if it suits you, if it's close to you, they are open for enrolments at the moment. Well done, KGU School. What a wonderful opportunity for children to become bilingual. Children are like sponges picking up a language. We should all be promoting our native language, indeed. And speaking to people who work in the area of language development and what have you, kids can easily pick up 2 languages if they start speaking Irish. This is from the people I've spoken to who are experts in this area. There's no problem switching between, sig shears, sit down, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't in any way hinder their development in one language or the other. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I went through primary and secondary school without being diagnosed with ADHD, says a listener, until I started in A2U, who carried out a comprehensive test, and I was diagnosed. It was so helpful for me in understanding a lot about myself and how I operate, and I hear that regularly indeed. Hi, Greg. Just wondering, is it common that it is 60 kilometres per hour going past schools in Maville on the Greencastle Road there to school, and there are new signs up 60 kilometres per hour? Cheers, Greg. Mostly what you see, or what I see, sorry, I have familiar routes, is temporary speed limits restrictions outside schools. I'm not sure what the set limit is at the school you're talking of. Anyone out there know, let us know. I'm sure the staff and parents are glad to see traffic being encouraged to slow down past the school. But a lot of the schools I would know, I can think of 5 off the top of my head that I would pass. It is 60 kilometres past the school, but they're timed, so it's at drop-off and pick-up. So I don't know what's going on at that school locally, but it's not unusual for that to be the speed. Hi, Greg. Was just wondering, could anyone of your listeners shed any light on the home help service? A family member had home help once a day, 5 days a week, but has been in hospital a few months now. They're ready for home, but were told there's not even one home help available now. When a patient goes into hospital, is there a time frame for them to come home again? Do they lose their home help after a certain number of weeks? There's a lot of people waiting in hospital to get home, but the support does not seem to be available. Thanks, Greg. And this is obviously a significant contributing factor to overcrowding in hospitals. It is spaces either at home through home care packages, and the right home care package, people would know of cases where someone probably needs someone with them 24 hours a day. Maybe they don't have any family close by, and they could find themselves, being in a hospital or a nursing home, unable to get home, even though they're fit to go home because the care is not available for them. There's always issues and pressure in terms of home care packages, so I would say it's not unusual. And I would also suggest that there is no particular time frame. It's when the service becomes available. There are also situations where families don't want to take on that role and will hold out with a person in hospital or a nursing home until such time as the what they would see as an adequate home care package is available. But anyone with any views or knowledge or insight into the home care area, let us know. This caller says there's a family member that needs home care. They had a home care package, but went into hospital and it doesn't seem to be there. When do you lose it? How long after you go into hospital do you lose it? Do you lose it straight away? And how long are they likely to be able to, how long are they likely to be waiting before home care is available again? Okay, lots of questions there. Right, we're heading into a break, but I want to mention to you, as we do go into that break, Highland Radio's delighted to have again teamed up with Vodafone to promote their High Digital initiative. Do you want to know how you can learn online skills for everyday life? Well, Vodafone Foundation, in partnership with Alone, have created online skills training for older persons. The training is available online at highdigital.ie, that's digital.ie, or via in-person classes in Convoy. With the right support, you don't have to be scared of technology and can embrace it. Have a listen to this morning's tip for you.
Here's an online safety tip brought to you by High Digital. Free online skills for everyday life supported by Vodafone Foundation in partnership with Alone. When using the internet, you should be mindful of scams and frauds. Scams are when someone tries to trick you. A fraud is when someone tries to steal from you. These dangers come in many forms. Common ones include messages pretending to be from tech support requiring personal information from you, social and romance scams asking for financial aid, and grandparent scams where scammers may impersonate a loved one in distress requesting money. Scams and frauds try to exploit our personal nature of gaining through an opportunity or avoiding a loss or wanting to help others. Be aware of potential scams and frauds. If you would like to learn more about how to identify these, visit highdigital.ie or call 1800 20 30 30 for more information. Brought to you by Vodafone Foundation and Alone.
Refresh your shoe wardrobe with the latest arrivals from Green Shoes, bringing you the latest styles from top brands such as Riker, Birkenstock and Wonders. Also, New Balance, Bugatti, XTI and many more. Step into style this season with Green Shoes, Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and Fulcara, or at greenshoes.com. One for all and Shop LK cards accepted.
At Avonmore, we know that fresh milk tastes great. But if you're lactose intolerant, drinking regular milk can leave you feeling, well, not so great. That's why Avonmore lactose-free milk is the perfect choice for you. It looks like regular milk, tastes like regular milk, and it's packed with all the nutritional goodness of regular milk. But there's one little difference that means a lot. It's lactose-free. So now you can enjoy the same fresh milk taste and feel great afterwards. Avonmore lactose-free milk. Feels good, tastes great.
Still dealing with frustratingly slow broadband? Don't wait any longer. Switch to Imagine's high-speed broadband today. Act fast. Sign up before the 31st of March and get our Hero package for just $49.99. Visit imagine.ie or free phone us on 1-800-938-407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Imagine Broadband is subject to location and availability with a minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price change of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full T&Cs.
If you need a new laptop, enjoy super fast performance and seamless multitasking with Avita laptops at Ben Sweeney Euronics. Avita laptops are equipped with advanced processors and ample RAM, so they handle everything from work to entertainment with ease. They come with a 2-year warranty. The price is starting at only €449. For more details, pop in and see us at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
A Highland Radio weather update with Ireland West Airport. Time to book that business trip to London. Fly daily to London Stansted and Luton with Ryanair and London Heathrow with Aer Lingus. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Radio dry for many today with sunny spells and just scattered showers. However, it will turn cloudier later this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees and light winds. So some controversy. That being said, I must say the majority of listeners backing the business in question. Some controversy, people parked in a private car park of a retail outlet in Dunn Stores. It says on the sign closed at 6, and some weren't happy, I think, when they came back and the gates were down. Margaret has a comment on this. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You're back in the business 100%, I think, Margaret.
Well, I'm not complaining or blaming anybody, and I'm certainly not blaming the staff at Dunn's. I shop there all the time, and the staff in Dunn's are among the best in the world, and they're entitled to finish at their appointed time and go home. But that being said, I think that the Chamber of Commerce, should have been liaising with all the businesses and figuring out parking, because that's a very suitable car park for all the traffic entering from that end of the town. And, it's just, okay, the sign was up, but for me, myself, I don't always see the signs. But, being a local, I would know. And I would imagine that the 50 cars or so that were locked in were probably strangers or visitors to the town.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be disappointed, after such a big crowd and such a great day in the town. I mean, the crowd was among the biggest that I've seen there in 40 years. And it would leave them with a sour taste in the mouth when they came back. Try to negotiate your way down the town if they had travelled, especially people with young families. And, all the paraphernalia between car seats and whatnot that you have to have with you, when you're travelling with kids. And they arrive back then, and how were they to get home? They have to start shifting, moving baby seats out of cars and that. And I just thought that, maybe that was a little bit of generosity and goodwill for the sake of the day that was in it, our national feast day, National Day of Celebration. And, it was great to see so many people in the town. And I would prefer when people left that they would say, oh, we had a great day in Letterkenny. It's a very welcoming town with this, that. And I'm sure they had a great day, but just to be left then, a time to go home with kids. That's the only thing I'm thinking on. I'm not blaming anybody and I know there wasn't a spare parking space anywhere in the town. I'm usually late arriving for everything myself, but I moved right on around the town until I thought,
Yeah, I get you. So you're saying, just for future reference, because it's always good to sort of learn from any mistakes, that maybe this type of parking should be secured. So in other words, maybe a steward could stand at those gates or something.
Well, I'm not, I cannot understand how that, the Chamber of Commerce couldn't arrange for some security and a bit of leeway. They didn't have to stay open all night, but just, to accommodate people. And anyhow, people, such a crowd in the town, to try to stop when the parade was over and get some refreshments and get to the toilet and kids and that. And anyhow, the lack of toilet facilities on the main street leave a lot to be desired. So, and then to think that they should be back in time and anything can turn up, it's just people with young families that I would be concerned about. That's all.
I get you. Come here. Did you enjoy the parade, Margaret? You did, I take it.
I enjoyed it. It was excellent, and I commend all the people who took part and all the hard work that was into organising it all and carrying it out, and all the participants in that. Everyone was just lovely. But I'll tell you this, one thing that disappointed me, it disappointed me a bit. I heard every language under the sun being spoken on the street. A Hawaiian, Changas, Suginhain and Gaelic, except our own Irish language. And as I walked down the street, anybody that I met that I knew, I greeted them in Irish and spoke to them in Irish. But all the other conversations, Ahan Changa, every language, Changa, Suginhain. So maybe everybody, we should put a little bit more effort into using our couple of focal shack in the Gaelic, but you're mean Gaelic. Because we must make a little bit more effort to speak maybe a little bit more of our own language.
Gets you, indeed. And there's an awful lot of effort, particularly actually focused in Letterkenny, to try and encourage that with, signage and what have you. But you're saying you use the parade maybe. You're saying just people attending it. Do you think people are a bit shy about using the language if they have it, Margaret?
I think, even one sentence, if you started off with one or two sentences in the day, just to greet people, and, you don't have to carry on a big, long conversation. I mean, nobody would expect that. But this is just one thing that kind of disappointed me. Are we not proud of our own language and just, couple of focal bonus just to, if you have a few words, just use them.
I think sometimes I think sometimes people actually might think that they're offending someone or something, which should never be the case. You should never be afraid to use your own language.
No, you don't. No, you're not offending.
What was the highlight, Margaret? Obviously, yeah, exactly. Any highlights? What was your favourite part of the day?
Well, what I really raised my spirits was the children and the young people and the parade. They were all so happy and the happy faces and, enjoying everything that was going on.
Okay.
And
listen.
I think we should be thanking God that we're lucky to be living where we are, with such peace and the ability to go out and enjoy yourselves.
Okay, you sound like a lovely, you sound like a wonderful lady, Margaret. Gurma Hagad August Majin Wai, thank you so much for joining us. No, well, that's how I'm just being honest.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, take care of yourself.
Majin Wai.
Majin Wai, okay, that's Margaret there. 08660 25,000. The parade happens usually once a year. Why don't the Chamber of Commerce link up with Duns to arrange something? Just an idea. I can see, you see, sometimes I have to be very careful. If I were going into Letterkenny, I wouldn't be approaching from that direction. So I wouldn't be thinking on sort of car parking space available there with easy access to the main street. But I can see where people are coming from, that maybe something could be put in place formally to have that type of parking available. Insurance obligations, legal obligations, etc. There are a lot of reasons for private car parks to be locked up every night. The same people that used the car park for the parade and didn't return in time are the same people that wouldn't think nothing of stopping across the entrance of a business park to answer the phone, blocking all entry and exits for everyone trying to get in or out of that business. I've seen it many times. But also, too, you see, how do you police it? Because firstly, there are people that are going to be leaving the cars there overnight. They're going to have a few beers up the main street or wherever it might be, and aren't coming back for the cars until the next day. And also, too, there comes a point where there could be some antisocial behaviour, some dangerous driving in that area as well. So I don't think the private business themselves can take any responsibility in this, nor, to be honest, are the public in any way suggesting that the business did wrong. Paddy's Day or not, the business has to protect their property. If you're not shopping in there, you're going to get locked in after the closing time. Simple. If you parked in Aldi in places and you're not shopping there, you could get clamped. So at least they'll be able to get them out for free, which is an interesting point as well. It's a good thing Duns didn't close their toilets. They're entitled to close their car park, and amazing kindness on the store's part. And I know particularly the staff down there, and the shop in general, but the staff down there are very highly thought of, and whatever about the conversation, it's certainly none of their faults. Okay, 08660 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. You're listening to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Thank you so much for that. We've another hour to come, and a big hello too to those of you watching across our various social medias on the X platform. Good to have you on board. Let us know where you're watching us from. Also on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and on Facebook as well. Back with news in a moment.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
How many Hollywood actors can fit into one tiny box? Thousands! If that tiny box is Virgin Media's new streaming TV, there's other stuff in there too. Live sports, that show you like, your favorite apps, tons of entertainment, and even voice activation crammed in there too. So play it your way with streaming TV from Virgin Media. It's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to availability. Third-party costs may apply. Must be a Virgin Media broadband customer. Actors not actually inside box. Ireland's best broadband. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
Getting married. Evolve Clothing at Letterkenny Retail Park is your destination. Book today for expert advice, a private wedding room, and great value. Make your wedding day unforgettable with Evolve Clothing.
Join the team at Homeland Letterkenny this weekend, Friday 22nd and Saturday 23rd of March, for our big paint event, with exclusive offers running all weekend. Chat with our experienced paint centre team and special guests. Meet and greet with the Dulux dog from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday 23rd. For more information, visit homeland.ie.
Live electricity wires are always near, and coming close to them can be dangerous. So always ask yourself, are you sure it's safe? Look out for electricity wires above and below you. If in doubt, call us on 1800 372 999. It might just save your life. ESB Networks. Stay safe and stay clear of electricity wires.
With
with all the stories that matter across the Northwest. It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, another hour on the way, but first let's get a news update, and it's good morning once again to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Garda have reissued appeals for information about two road collisions outside Letterkenny last week, one of them fatal. It happened on the Ramelton Road just before 6 o'clock on last Friday morning. Kieran McCart from the Glebe in Letterkenny, a pedestrian in his 30s, lost his life in the tragedy. Meanwhile, a number of people were injured in a three-car collision on Wednesday night at Illistrin on the Kilmacrennan Road. The EU Parliament has unanimously accepted the report of a deputation of MEPs who visited Donegal and other affected counties late last year as part of a Petitions Committee investigation into the Defective block scandal. Garda and Ballyshannon are investigating an assault that occurred on Main Street in Ballintra in the early hours of yesterday. One man is believed to have been assaulted by two others just before 1:30 in the morning. Convicted Garda killer Pierce Macaulay has been found dead at his home in Strabane. It's believed the 59-year-old died from natural causes. He was part of the IRA gang that shot dead Detective Garda Jerry McCabe in Limerick in 1996, 5 years after he escaped from Brixton Prison in London. The government's being urged to postpone a planned increase in excise duty on fuels, which is scheduled for April 1st. Lobby group Fuel for Ireland says this will lead to a huge difference in prices at the pumps, with retailers in southern border counties like Donegal being put at a severe disadvantage. They say the price differential south to north will be at least 15 cents a litre. Garda and Milford are investigating the theft of 7 Inlam Yos from the Gortamore area of Downings just between 6 on Saturday the 9th of March and 11 a.m. on Sunday the 10th of March. The Yos have faded red markings and are tagged. And the HSE is beginning its measles catch-up programme from today. 5 cases have now been confirmed in the Republic so far, while outbreaks have been reported all across Europe. They're the main stories. Back with headlines again at 12 noon. Check all of today's news, of course, on our website, highlandradio.com.
Donald, thank you very much indeed.
Hello class, welcome to Burgala Boot Camp, where we teach you how to get into houses and keep you out of jail. Now there's one house you should never even attempt. It's the Phone Watch House. They respond in just 15 seconds to break-ins and smoke. 15! I got one for my own place for a great price. Purely for research, of course.
Get the alarm burglars fear the most for just €99. Don't be alarmed. Be phone watched. Offer ends March 31st. Monitoring fees apply.
Okay, just a little bit of information on the roads, that there is a road closure this week on the R256 Muckish Road. You might be more familiar with the Bridge of Tears. It's in that area. The new TG Cahar drama series, which has recently been filming in the Godor area, will be filming scenes along this road next Tuesday. That's today, of course, Wednesday and Thursday. For the safety of public and crew, there'll be traffic restrictions in place that may in particular affect people who travel on the road from the Falcarra and Gortahawk areas. Full details are available. We'll get them up onto our website or social media. But anyway, on Tuesday the 19th of March until 7 p.m. this evening, there's a stop-and-go traffic control. Drivers should expect delays on this day. On Wednesday, a full road closure between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And on Thursday, a full road closure between 7 and 7 p.m. So there you go. Might be of some use to some of you out there who use that road on a regular basis. Our next guest joining us on the show very shortly, but I just want to read a comment here. St. Patrick's Day or not, Duns have to protect their property. I read that one. Greg, this morning I had a fella coming to install a smart meter. When I asked him, I've been paying my bill for cash or by cash for 46 years and I want to continue doing that. He couldn't answer it for me. Does anyone know if I can? A friend said once the smart meter goes in, you have to pay online. Well, I'm not really quite sure about that. I know people who don't know they have smart meters and they go into the post office and pay their bill because a lot of smart meters were installed unknowns to people. And I know a couple of them really quite well. And I opened their drawers. That sounds terrible. I opened their cabinet and lo and behold, there's a smart meter. And I know they are paying their electricity bill with cash. So I'm not sure if they're outliers, but anyway. Now, we are joined on the programme by Mary Ellen McGroarty, who is Country Director for the UN World Food Programme in Sudan. Good morning, Mary Ellen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Right, now you had our local minister here, Charlie McConalogue, over for St. Patrick's weekend, and he commended the work being done by yourself, calling you one of Donegal's finest ambassadors. I know you're not in it for the plaudits, but still it's nice to get a little bit of recognition, isn't it, Mary Ellen?
It is indeed, yes. We had the pleasure of hosting Minister McCongal and his delegation and our ambassador in Ethiopia here in South Sudan over the weekend. And as a fellow Donegal person, it was great to have him for St. Patrick's Day. And yeah, he said very nice words. Indeed, some of my family just alerted me to the headlines in the Donegal Daily.
Very good. Mary Ellen, talk to me a little bit about your work over there, and I suppose the work of the programme more generally.
Yeah, I mean, here in South Sudan, the World Food Programme, we're focused on humanitarian support, but also on resilience building projects. It's a country with a desperate hunger crisis. 7.71 million people are what we call acutely food insecure. Currently, we have 2 weeks of a desperate heat wave with all the schools closed, and we also are gripped in an economic shock. So what we're trying to do, and we also have the impact of the war in Sudan. I mean, over 600,000 people have fled the war into a country that's already desperately poor. So what we're trying to do as the World Food Programme is to try and meet their immediate hunger needs by distribution food and nutrition support, but also trying to work with the communities and households to build self-reliance. And these are some of the projects that we were able to bring the minister to see over the weekend. I mean, Ireland has been a very strong and generous supporter of the World Food Programme, not only in South Sudan, but also across the world, and not only on the humanitarian side, but on both the humanitarian side and the resilience side. So it's really, our work is really focused on helping people to get through today with food, but also to be able to help them build some self-reliance, so change their lives and be able to stand on their own feet.
And, you know, it's often, sometimes it's sort of the media that sets the agenda as to what people know about. So I think visits like this and conversations like this are important in making people aware who may not be aware that there are major struggles and crises in other parts of the world. Of course, much of the focus is, and one can understand the risk of famine in Gaza, for an example, and the worldwide conversation about that and how people can be helped. But it could be easy to forget sometimes, and we shouldn't, that there are other pockets of the world where people are going through incredibly difficult times as well. They just don't happen to be on the news cycles.
Indeed, Greg, and this is really the challenge. And there is so much going on, so much tragedy in our world at the moment. And, you know, if we just look next door in Sudan, as I said, 600,000 people have fled the war there. South Sudan, the country I'm in, is on the front lines of climate change. 4 years of unprecedented flooding. Other parts of the country, drought. As I said, this week, 2 weeks of a desperate heat wave that has all the schools closed. And these people are just trying to eke out an existence. You know, a lot of the strife that they find themselves in is no hand of their own, and really, you know, trying to get some attention on really the desperate situation for many populations is really difficult at this time with so many crises across the world. So we were very happy indeed to be able to have a little bit of focus on South Sudan and correspondingly what's happening next door in Sudan.
Going by your comments and what I read and hear elsewhere as well, Mary Ellen, you made an interesting point there about this sort of being, you know, the forefront of the climate crisis. I mean, are we at a tipping point, or even perhaps over it, where really some parts of the world, like where you're located, are uninhabitable, really, in any meaningful, fulfilling way?
South Sudan is not there. I mean, I think probably we are watching the unprecedented flooding that we're seeing. Again, there was heavy rains in Uganda this year, so that's going to come our way in a couple of weeks' time. I think this year what we're seeing, and currently at the moment, is a desperate heat. And this is one of the results of climate change. You know, temperatures are getting higher and higher. Now, what we're seeing in South Sudan this week, not only the kids out of school, it's the height of the planting season, so it's going to have a desperate impact again on the production and crops. And also livestock are a key part of the livelihoods here. Now, the stress on water So, I mean, we work on adaptation projects. You know, what crops can we bring in the flooded areas? Rice. How can we help them conserve water from the rainy season? You know, those kind of things. And we need to do more of that. But certainly, you know, the attention needs to be very much on climate change.
From you and your colleagues' perspective, as well as all the other challenges, is it an unsafe place to work because of some elements?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, they have the peace agreement, but yeah, I mean, there's still divisions. I mean, we all know when we come to place, peace is never, it's not easy. It's a young country. It's the youngest country in the world. Got their independence in 2011, you know, and they're still working through that, you know, putting in place the governance systems. But yeah, we still deal with conflict, subnational conflict. We still deal with violence. You know, we do a lot of pre-positioning before the rainy season. Sometimes our convoys come up against it. But yeah, and it is, sadly, South Sudan is one of the most difficult places and unsafe places for humanitarian workers.
Ireland's been always praised for its generosity, but Minister McConalogue was able to confirm a 40% increase in Ireland's funding for this cause, which obviously is very welcome. And I presume as a proud Donegal woman / Irish woman, it was a very welcome announcement for you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely great. You know, I mean that, you know, and lined up with this visit, you know, this 40% increase in funding to the World Food Programme. This money goes into these self-reliance programs around resilience, around, you know, making lives better, particularly for women. You know, and announcing that when he was in Kenya, Ethiopia, and also visiting South Sudan. So, yeah, fantastic.
Okay, well, listen, thank you very much for your time, Mary Ellen. I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, will you, as much as you can. And as I say, I think it was nice for you to receive the compliment, although you got it secondhand, but it's nice nonetheless. Thank you very much. That's Mary Ellen McGroarty, who was joining us there live from Sudan, believe it or not, such as the wonders of modern technology. She was described by the Minister over the weekend as one of Donegal's finest ambassadors. She is originally from Mount Charles in the south of the county. I'm sure you're all aware of where that is. And we've spoken to her before, and it's always good to find out more about the work that she and her colleagues are doing out there. Hi, I was wondering if anyone knows why the Ballybofey to Lifford Route 494 isn't running. I tried contacting Busaran, but no reply. That came in... That's quite some time ago now. That came in on Friday, so I'm not sure if it was on that day or if it's an ongoing issue. Anyone with an insight, please let us know. 086 60 25,000. We spoke to Sinn Féin spokesperson on the Marine, Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin, a little earlier on about the fishing industry and what he says his party will commit to if elected to government. And that, by the way, is by no means a fait accompli. Fishing industry in Ireland really needs, number one, a dedicated marine fisheries minister. Number two, a fair amount of the stocks that are fished in our own waters at the minute. That is about 15. Number three, proper accountability from the civil servants who oversee the industry. They need to work with the industry to ensure there is a future in fishing which is locally caught and produced food at the end of the day. Ticks all the environmental boxes, doesn't it? How can Moran's 6 hooks destroy any stock compared to these super trawlers who carry 5,000 tonnes of fish in one trip? And it's also to the cast-offs, you know. I'm not sure if that's what it's described as, but, you know, the cast-offs, unintentionally caught fish that you wouldn't want to be found with on the boat if there was an inspection. Dahi says climate scam, weather warfare, using their drones to kill off everything slowly. Even flies have disappeared. Dahi, come on. Are you saying that the drought over there, the extreme rain, the extreme hot weather is man-made? Is that what you're suggesting? I will go down a road a certain distance with anyone on these issues, and I'm interested, Dahi, to hear what you have to say. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Hi, Greg. Pádraig not going to get my vote, so he can waffle all he likes and nothing done. And he didn't waffle that he wanted a yes vote. Very clear he made that. Reef fishing regulations, the elephant in the room here is, unlike everything else, the EU, we are ruled by them. So isn't it time we do, like Britain, an exit from the EU? It's really not going well for the British, I have to say. The truth is we don't know what Sinn Féin will do in government, but we have seen what Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have done. Homeless crisis, health crisis, lost our fishing rights, defective concrete issues. I don't think it's possible for Sinn Féin to do any worse, which is an interesting approach to when you to deciding how you might vote one way or other. But that being said, you know, what the listener says there is true in terms of we don't know what one party will do. Right, but we shall see. We shall see.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
The manager is subbing on the big man. And another change now. Rogers comes on, the veteran right back. And now the third choice goalie enters the field. They can barely contain themselves here. With new Super Sub from Paddy Power, all subs are now super. Because if a player in your bet is subbed off, it carries over to the new player coming on. Paddy Power. Football, you gotta love it. Valid on selected leagues and markets only. Pre-match and in-play bets on qualifying player outcome selections only. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Play safe, 18+, gamblingcare.ie.
Hop to it with Easter savings at Tesco. Pick up our finest hot cross buns while they're hot. We're €2.50, now €2. And get a full Irish for less with selected finest sausages, rashers, pudding and orange juice, any 3 for €6. Sure, you'll be pretty full after all that. Save time, shop online or click and collect. Enjoy a bigger and better Easter. Tesco. Every little helps. Club card required, subject to availability. Available at most stores. Prices vary in express stores. Deposit may apply. See tesco.ie.
For all homeowners, Highland Radio is now offering the chance to transform your space with a €10,000 home makeover draw, plus an extra €5,000 in cash. Brought to you in association with Foy & Company. Imagine the possibilities. What could you do to your home with €10,000? Get your tickets now at highlandradio.com for a chance to make your dream home a reality. Enter today. Visit highlandradio.com.
Now, the EU Parliament has unanimously accepted the report of a deputation of MEPs who visited Donegal and other affected counties late last year as part of a Petitions Committee investigation into the Defective Block scandal. Speaking afterwards, MEP Luke Ming-Flanagan said the report is a vindication of the tireless campaigning of effective homeowners and validation of the unprecedented situation they find themselves in. Right, Luke Ming-Flanagan joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time.
Good morning to you, Greg. Thanks for having us on.
I think this in very clear language, in black and white, really, I think backs up the homeowners and those campaigning in this regard as to what's going on, how they find themselves in this situation. So this is welcome to see this accepted.
Yeah, it is very welcome. Initially, when the petitioners approached me, I had previous experience with a lady called Julie Grace, a whistleblower from Ireland, who petitioned the committee and managed to get some results. But I did warn them maybe not to expect too much of it. It's hard to get people necessarily to listen, but I have to say, I'm delighted to see the report is now done, and that the very idea that they'd visit Donegal initially for me was a bit of a long shot, but I knew that once they did visit, and if they did visit, that no amount of words could describe what they were going to see, that they'd have to see it firsthand. So after that visit, it gave me a little bit of hope that we'd end up with a report that was significant. Obviously, one worry would be that the chair of that committee is from the same group as Fine Gael, but I have to give Dolores Montserrat credit. She put people before politics, and the conclusions of the report are that, and this is why it's important, it is now the position of the European Parliament, not just my position or the position of the people who are affected by this, but it's the position of the Parliament that this has had severe health, financial and social consequences on people, and that the scheme, which we're constantly told is wonderful and it's perfect, that the scheme has to show more flexibility and take better account of the financial burden of all of the costs. And that includes rental costs associated with storage, and also to do with foundations, because at the moment, people are left with the ridiculous situation whereby they'd end up having to put a lot of money with what they're getting in the grant, and then potentially down the road, their foundations would fail. Another very important thing, and this is something that we try to focus on the mission, is that we have a proper market surveillance system put in place in Ireland, and that it be proactive rather than reactive. In other words, that it stops stuff happening in the first place and doesn't just come out then when things go wrong. And one part of the report, which for me is very important, and I have to say, I've great admiration for the people who are involved in this, the petitioners, on this part of it, because when they looked at this, they weren't just trying to make sure that this didn't happen to them, but they wanted to make sure that this would never happen again in Ireland and that it wouldn't affect people in the future. So the report recommends that there be a public inquiry and that there be a clearer picture when it comes to identifying and holding accountable those that are responsible. And as you're probably aware, Greg, there was an attempt to put in an amendment which includes the phrase force majeure, which if it had passed, unfortunately it didn't, would have suggested that this was an act of God.
How did that find it? Do we know how that found its way into the document?
Well, it was put in as an amendment under the name of an MEP called Peter Yar. And I have to say I was surprised that it came from his office, because if it wasn't for Peter Yar, I'll be straight with you, this may not have gone ahead in the first place. I've worked with Peter Yar for the last 9 years on the Agri Committee. He went along with an amendment that was worth tens of millions of euro to the people of Donegal. So I built up quite a good relationship.
So is it possible it was a cut and paste error or an active God error, I was going to say, a cut and paste error or just an oversight?
Well, I contacted him and asked him, would you remove them or would he set it up so that they could be altered? But what I'm hearing from Colin Markey is that it was some sort of a mistake. But look, I've been putting in amendments here for 9.5 years. And all I can say is the system would be very, very difficult to put it in as a mistake. It's a bit like the guy who claimed to have hacked my account and said it was a mistake. It doesn't really add up as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know how the amendments came in, but what I do know is initially when they were put in place, Colin Markey was suggesting that I was talking rubbish, that they shouldn't be in there, that they should be supported, and somehow they were positive. But fortunately, that's been sorted out now, and the force majeure thing is not in it, because the idea that this happened by accident or by an act of God is like a red rag to a bull. We know why it's insulting. It's insulting for sure.
Now, it would be lovely to think that, you know, the overlords have decided and now we wake up tomorrow and it's a bright new dawn. Unfortunately, that's not really the case here, because, you know, we have an ability in this country to flout recommendations and what have you from Europe. In some cases, they say jump and we say how high, and then in other cases we have no problem spending a decade ignoring advice or rules from Europe. But anyway, be that as it may, this is a strongly worded document, which I suppose it's kind of an embarrassment for the Irish government, or at least it should be an embarrassment from the Irish government, but it doesn't compel them in any way, does it?
Well, it doesn't compel them in any way, but what it does do is the next time you have a campaigner there with defective concrete in their house, and when they say that this scheme isn't up to scratch, and the government come back and say, actually it is, and it is 100%, they now have a document from Europe to show that quite clearly that it isn't 100% redress. And the next time the government talk about it, they're going to have to explain why they're being contradicted in Europe. And there is a legislative aspect to this as well. We sign up to regulations, we sign up to directives, and I know all about that as a turf cutter, and they're not too slow in coming after us, not too slow in coming after individual turf cutters and telling us that there's this regulation and there's that regulation. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And we have regulations and we have directives from Europe for a reason. And they are not implementing this properly. They're not properly funding it. We had the head of the market surveillance body in Ireland coming out saying that there was a crisis, that they had a major problem with funding. Now we have more people saying it. But look, at the beginning of this process, I was very clear with the petitioners. Ultimately, the answer lies with the Irish government. And it's why I'm a little bit baffled when I see some MEPs coming out today from Fine Gael welcoming this report. They're basically welcoming a report that says their own government isn't doing what they should have been doing, and that it has had serious mental health effects on people. It's had serious financial effects on people. So while it's interesting to hear Fine Gael MEPs welcome it, it's a bit like someone going and burning down your house and then ringing the fire brigade and welcoming them arriving. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So instead of just welcoming this report, I would prefer if this report never had to be done in the first place. What I want to see now is for this to happen. And look, we all know with elections coming up, politicians are never better at listening and never more open to good ideas. So here they have the perfect idea here. Here they have the perfect template to solve everyone's problems and to make sure that this never happens again.
Does it go as far as you say it does? Does it go as far as to say that? I mean, there is some wording in this. Is there not that praises this scheme? Does it go as far? Do you believe the wording is clear in that it says that it should be improved to 100%? Or when it talks, are we talking there about widening its scope, which could be the same scheme maybe for holiday homeowners or community associations? Reducing red tape, of course, we need that done. Speeding up the process, of course, that's really important. But does this go far? Does it go as far as saying that the scheme needs to be rejigged to make sure it delivers 100% redress?
Well, we had an amendment in there to make sure it ended up as a similar scheme, a wraparound scheme like the Pyrite one in the east of the country. That amendment failed.
See, that's a critical one, isn't it? I mean, that's critical.
Well, it's one of several things that we would have liked in it, but we've got 95% of what we wanted in it. And from the point of view of the scheme, we've got stronger wording on the scheme. But it's very clear, the report, that it gets rid of this idea, and this idea that the Irish government is trying to sell, that somehow this scheme is perfect. It's just a matter of getting your head around it.
No, but it could be argued that
it's 100%.
I get you, but it could be suggested that, if I were a government rep, I could say, well, look, they did praise the scheme in and of itself, and recognises that it is doing good work. And of course, we can always do better. And of course, we're working to stream. The absence of the absence of strong language stating that the victim should not be, in any way financially out. Like if you've got a house worth 600,000 or 700,000 or 800,000 euro, you know what I mean? Clearly the scheme's not going to be 100%. What's in this to give those people any hope? It's a great document, don't get me wrong, but it's just this 100% element and no pointed language, I think. It can be, I could wiggle my way around this personally if I wanted to.
Yeah, and look, the government can wiggle around absolutely every one of the recommendations. And while it doesn't mention 100%, it implies 100%. It talks about rental costs. It talks about costs associated with storage of furniture. It talks about foundations. It talks about getting rid of the financial burden. And ideally, the amendment that would have said 100% would have been in there. But I think you're going to have to ask Fine Gael MEPs why their group lobbied to get that out, and they lobbied to get it out of it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's down to the Irish government to do this, whether it's the current government or whether it's the next government, which may include Sinn Féin and other parties. But from now on, though, one thing is clear. The state can claim that it's doing absolutely everything that's possible, because now it's clear that it isn't. And now we have a higher body saying that. We have a body that introduced the market surveillance regulations in the first place, saying that Ireland needs to do more. And obviously you can bring a horse to water and you can't force it to drink. But at the moment, we have the Irish government, which is a horse, looking into that barrel, looking at its reflection, and the reflection tells them they have failed people miserably and they've got to act.
Yeah, and I haven't seen yet. Maybe it will come. It'll be very interesting to see how it's worded. But I think this is certainly significant enough that a statement from government on this acceptance of this report would be timely. I think, I think the public need to I think it'd be very useful for the public to see a government reaction to it and how they interpret it. I think the people affected by this kind of deserve that.
It certainly would be. And it would be because it contradicts what they're saying. And they have browbeaten people into saying that this is 100%. And for me, one of the worst things that the government has done is they have went out and been proactive, not proactive on market surveillance, but proactive in demonising people and making it seem like people are unreasonable, mentioning massive figures and saying we're giving them 100% and still they're not happy. They can no longer say that because now it's official. It isn't 100%. And for me, it was bad enough that people ended up with houses falling down around their ears, but to try and spin it against people and spin it in a way that it makes it sound like other people are going to have to pay your bills, when in fact, unless we do something about this and we make sure it never happens again, it's actually going to affect many other people who at the moment are wondering, why should I pay the bill on this? And eventually they'll find out it's going to hit their own.
I can't emphasise this enough either. I don't think we've even scratched the surface on knowing those that are affected. Sadly, I think there's lots of people listening to this show that maybe still are, patching cracks and painting over them or putting it down to settling cracks or waiting to see what happens. There's still an awful lot of people right across this county and beyond. I think that the penny is yet to drop for them. So this is of interest to more people, I think, than we can actually account for right now, sadly. Luke Ming, thanks for your time. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye, take care. Nice to chat to you. Luke Ming Flanagan there, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. That man is right in everything he's saying. They adhere right away to anything Europe asks them to do. We'll see what they do this time. As I say, there's a website, that the gov.ie, there's a section on that in publications, and just often when there are, rulings or things that happen on a national or international scale, a press release goes up there or a statement goes up there on behalf of government, we note such and such, the publication of this, that and the other. Right, okay. We'll take a quick break. Stay right where you are.
At CS Architectural Salvage, you'll find made-to-measure traditional cast-iron radiators, exterior garden ornaments, original Belfast brick, decorative brick, granite cobbles, quarry tiles, natural stone flag, railway sleepers and much more. Log on to csarchitecturalsalvage.com.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Mary here from McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Loncombe have a great beauty gift available this week. Buy 2 Loncombe products, one of them to be skincare, and you will get a free 5-piece gift containing a full-size bifacial eye makeup remover, a choice of 2 travel-size creams, and more iconic Loncombe products. This is available until Saturday the 23rd of March or while stocks last. Some T's and C's apply. For any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Pharmacy on Main Street, Letterkenny.
Testing. Do you need to get your hearing tested? Test your hearing with a free sample hearing aid from Hidden Hearing. Order your free sample hearing aid today. Call 1-800-370-000 or visit hiddenhearing.ie.
Hi. Okay, Mary, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Mary, I don't know if you have a radio on the background, but you might need to turn it down a little because it could be distracting hearing me twice.
Sorry, I have a radio on the background. I always have. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not giving out. It's just I want to make sure you can hear me.
It's off now.
Okay.
It's off now.
Right, Mary, you're celebrating in a text you sent in to us. This county, full of lovely people, lovely, kind people. Tell us a little bit more about that, Mary.
Oh, Greg, I don't know where to start. This county is full of lovely people, kind gestures and whatever. And this town, and I'm talking about Letterkenny in particular now at this moment in time, I could write a book on the amount of nice people I've encountered in my lifetime, and especially even in recent years, like. And I'd be blown away by the kindness of people, how they'll offer to do things for you, like, you know.
On Friday, you had another nice encounter.
Yeah. I actually, don't let me forget, there was actually 2 on that Friday. And don't let me forget the second one. I'm done stores doing my shopping. And I came up to the till, and the lovely lady said to me, "Do you have a voucher?" And I said, "Oh gosh," I said, "Yes, I do have a voucher, but because I changed coats from the last day I was in, I said, it's in my coat pocket at home, I don't have it with me. Forgotten it." So this lovely girl, and there was 2 people together, this lovely girl and another lady with her, and she just piped up and she said, she piped up her mobile phone and she said, "Here," she said, "use my voucher." And I thought, I was blown away. I thought that was just such a generous gesture to make, to someone I didn't know. She didn't know me. I thought that was lovely.
Saved you a few
And her
pounds,
name was Mary.
Mary, another Mary.
Another, I had to say to her when I was finished checking out, I said, yes, I had thanked her, of course, but then I thought thanking her wasn't enough. I just said, "What's your name?" And she said, "It's Mary." I said, "Same as myself." So that's why I said there, from one Mary to another. I did say to her, I said, "Bless your big heart," because I'll extend it a little bit if you don't mind, Greg. That particular day, I had got a big fill of oil in the morning. I had been in the chemist and spent just a few pence short of €100. I'd been in a few more shops as well and spent a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So believe it or believe it not, she did me a bigger favour than she realised.
It's one of those
because
days.
when I didn't check my bank account, and if she hadn't actually gestured that €5 of a voucher, and believe it or not, someone else that I can't name but offered a €5 voucher as well. And if they hadn't, I would have been embarrassed. I wouldn't have had enough in my bank account to pay for my groceries.
Oh, wow.
I would have ended leaving some groceries back. So that gesture of that lovely girl actually meant that I wasn't embarrassed and didn't have to leave some of my groceries back.
Oh, that's good.
So she doesn't realise really, how the nice favour she really did for me.
Well, yep, someone's keeping an eye on you anyway. They sent the right person to you at the right time, Mary.
Honest to goodness, and just thank her so much. I mean, as I say, she just maybe thought nothing of it, only offering the voucher. But it was more extensive than that because I'd spent so much during Friday, and was rushing and didn't check my bank account.
All right. Okay.
So anyhow, that was real. And earlier than that, there was another lovely gesture, and I don't want to forget this. The little bulb in your fridge, and it fuses sometimes.
Yes.
And my little bulb was fused, and on my rounds, doing my rounds, I went into Crumlish's down at the Ballyrain, beside Rosslyn College there, the Ballyrain wee shopping centre beside the hairdressers. Mm-hmm. And I went in there and I said, "You wouldn't happen to have a wee bulb," I said, "for a fridge?" I said, my wee bulb's fused. And of course, I went to a cupboard and took out this little bulb. And I said, "Oh, good." And he said, €8 something. And I went to go to my bag to pay for the bulb, and he said, "Here you are." He said, "Take it with you. Never even charge me for it."
Oh, well, there you go. Isn't that nice?
Imagine. That was Crumlish's Electric.
All right, fair play to them. So between Crumlish's Electric and Mary, you were well looked after on Friday, Mary.
Yeah, and there was another the Lifeline ambulances.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, whenever I was shopping actually in another store one day, my groceries, I bought more than I had intended to buy, and they were too heavy and I couldn't manage to carry them. And this lovely fella in his uniform from Lifeline Ambulance stepped up and he said, "Here you are, I'll carry them out to the car for you." Mm-hmm. And he did. I mean, that's what I'm saying about, this country and this county and this town is full of lovely, kind-hearted, generous people.
Yeah, of course. And something like that lifts your day too, though, doesn't it? It's a nice comment.
Doesn't it, Greg? You come home with a big smile on your face and you just think, aren't people so lovely?
Good stuff. Did you stay at home for St. Patrick's Day, Mary, or were you out and about?
I'm afraid I wasn't out and about. No, circumstances didn't enable me to be out and about.
Okay, well, sure, there's plenty on social media.
I used to be out and about. I used to be out and about a lot in St. Patrick's, but not this one.
Problem. But thankfully now with social media, I'm sure you saw loads of lovely pictures and stuff.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, okay. And I was wearing my green jersey.
Good woman. No bother to you. Okay, Mary. Listen,
okay, thank you very much, Greg, for that. Thank you.
No, it's nice to spread the love as well. Take care, Mary. So that's a few acts of kindness that have given Mary a lift there. Tony Forrester is chair of Letterkenny Chamber. Good morning to you, Tony. Thanks for your time today.
Morning, Greg.
I suppose a quick reflection on a very successful weekend for not just Letterkenny, for so many towns and villages right across our county. It sounds like everyone had a ball.
Oh, yeah, it was great. The weather played ball with us, which was great for us. And we got a huge parade in Letterkenny every year. I kind of don't know who's going to turn up, but there was so many young people, children, all in all the dance groups, the gymnastics groups, and absolutely amazing cultural diversity in the parade this year as well, from, the intercultural platform. It was amazing. It was really, really good.
Good stuff. Now, when I was chatting to Claire last week as she was taking over the mantle as head of, as the CEO of, President of Letterkenny Chamber, I beg your pardon, we were sort of talking about the important role Letterkenny Chamber plays in lobbying, as well as other chambers it's associated with around the country. We're coming into local elections now, European elections. Chambers Ireland, the voice of businesses in Ireland, has launched 2 manifestos for the local and European elections, which, as we know now, are taking place in June. Of course, your chamber feeds into that, Tony, but also your own manifesto will be out shortly. And what is this, a document drawn up that will be forwarded to all candidates? How does it work?
Yeah, Chambers Ireland have do it on a national basis, and we haven't really done it before this point, with such a focus. But we'll bring out our own document and we'll give it to all our TDs, all our councillors, and anyone else who wants to listen, to really, I suppose, express what our business community wants for their future. In terms of local government and national policy. We are struggling in certain ways. I mean, our businesses, we always say, are resilient, but we need a lot of things happening.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting
to really make this region sing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's really interesting is for a lot of people, maybe outside of business or even those within business, it's the cost of doing business, for an example, or electricity prices or VAT rates or whatever it might be, or supports and what have you. But these documents dig deeper than that, don't they? Because it's really sort of, the social structures that enable businesses to thrive and enable people to get out to work too. And that's where a lot of the focus of the national document is, and I'm sure it'll be reflected locally as well.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of business everybody knows about at the moment, and the bureaucracy attached to employing people. And our businesses want to create employment all the time. So we'd be saying, well, can we have not too many more changes coming forward? Because we've had a lot in the last while. But I suppose on a more regional level and local as well, I suppose this housing is front and centre in the Chambers Ireland manifesto and will be in ours as well. Our businesses are now saying, they might be able to get an employee, but is there somewhere for them to live? And until the government really, really unlock the social housing, build many, many, many more houses, we're kind of hamstrung to a certain extent. So, and then we've got the added problem, obviously, in Donegal of defective blocks. So housing's really at front and centre, and our businesses are telling us that.
And it's housing is really complex and it's simple at the same time, because for housing to work, there needs to be capacity, vacancy. You know what I mean? For people moving out, upsizing, downsizing, coming in, coming out. And unfortunately, we have very little of that wiggle room, with very little vacancy in the rental market. And until more properties become available, that's going to continue to be an issue, because there's even more demands all the while on whatever small amount of rental property we have. And that's something that is going to take a national focus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real balancing act, to be honest. The developer won't develop unless it's worth it for them. But if we can get our council has plans for more social housing, which would then hopefully release some houses, private sector rental, back into the market. So there's a lot there to be done. We're not going to be able to solve it. Our local council probably can't solve it on their own either, but I think there has to be a willingness to move forward. I suppose the other thing that we've been talking about locally is just making sure that things get done. So planning the planning process is being changed nationally, apparently, but we've been talking about that for a long time, and we need things to happen quicker than they do at the moment. We talk to the council and we can see their plans, but I suppose us being business people who just get on with things, the structures are sometimes hampering.
Yeah,
local government to deliver.
In this country too as well, Tony, we are at statistically 100% employment along my that continues. So there's always an issue in retaining staff and also getting staff with the right skill sets as well. That feeds into the whole housing issue. I think everything kind of often goes through housing, but it has to be the support to get people out to work, into the region to work. It's not just housing. There's more needs to be done in that area as well, so that businesses can open to their capacity and maximise their capability. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk, I suppose, with the government putting more money into apprenticeships, and our ATU and our ATD will respond to that as well. So they're trying their very best to get people, who maybe could end up unemployed into the market. So it all has to try and work together. And then I suppose the other thing that we always talk about in Donegal is our infrastructure. We're a region in transition, and that's because the infrastructure is lacking. And we really, this is more of a national call, we need to get it sorted. We've really good broadband connectivity around the county, but our infrastructure is still lacking, and we'll bring this up until it gets sorted. So the A5 will hopefully be started, but how do we then get the 10T to link into that, and then other roads around the county?
And, I get it where we're at politically. We're in a transition. I think the electorate that are voting are as switched on as they've ever been, but there's a lot of apathy out there. There's a lot of shoulder shrugging. What difference does it make? I get that. You or I can't maybe convince people otherwise, but there is a process there, and the more people that take part in it, the more pointed questions there are for MEPs, candidates, and for council candidates, the better. I don't think we can give up on democracy just yet, but we have to make sure that we get firm commitments from people that they know what they're talking about.
Yes, I think we just all have to keep asking and giving our point of view. So when we're trying to, hopefully when we deliver our manifesto, we'll be giving some tangible examples of what we have been told by our business, our members. We want to deliver for business. It's important for us. If you give up asking, we're nowhere. We have to rely on the processes, and that's what elections are all about. So we need to ask the tough questions, and I'm assuring you that we will.
Yep, okay, and we'll look forward to actually getting a look through that manifesto, and I'm sure we might talk about it again. But for now, Tony, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. That's Tony Forrester, the chairperson of Letterkenny Chamber. Well, let's take a quick break. Excuse me. We'll come back with the weather.
Don't miss Irish country music legend Susan McCann in concert at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on Thursday, the 11th of April. Tickets on sale from reception and Eventbrite now. A night not to be missed with Susan McCann at the Clanry Hotel.
For a great breakfast, pull into Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. Not just a great breakfast, but mouth-watering burgers, delicious chicken, succulent steaks, and so much more. For kids, it's not just about pancakes, but a full children's menu to choose from. First Communion and Confirmation celebrations also catered for. Great food and great service every time. A Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards.
In southern Malawi, communities are facing extreme floods followed by extreme dry spells. Melita is a single mother who farms to support her 4 children. In 2023, a record cyclone ripped across her farm, with rainwaters destroying crops and damaging her home. When her farm faced a withering dry spell later in the year, Melita was left wondering how she would access safe water or feed her family again. Throcra is working with Melita and thousands more like her to adapt to the devastating effects of climate change. You can help them build a more secure future. Visit throcra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Together, we can make a lasting difference. This extreme weather report on Highland Radio was brought to you by Throcra.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Time to book the family summer holiday. Fly to Barcelona, Faro, Milan, Majorca and much more for a perfect family getaway. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okie doke. Dry for many today with sunny spells and just scattered showers. However, it will turn cloudier later this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees. 086 60 25,000 is 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. John Tierney's campaigns director with the Association of Hunt Saboteurs. Good morning to you, John. Thank you very much for your time today. Can you hear me, John? No, we'll reconnect with John, Donna Marie, if that's okay. We'll come back to that in a moment. Now, we were speaking to Lynn about the road approaching the Good and New charity shop, and we had contact from someone else backing up what Lynn was saying. Hi, I want to tell you about a problem at the entrance of the road leading into the Good and New charity shop in the hope of highlighting it and finding a solution. I'm a volunteer in the shop, and there's a very large pothole at the entrance from the New Link Road to the Good and New shop. A man who heard the conversation on Highland Radio this morning travelled from Fanad today with cement purchased with his own money to fix the pothole for us. Such a kind thing to do. However, he's not allowed to fix the road. I emailed the council over a week ago about the problem, and they said to get the businesses on the road to pay to fix the problem. I would appreciate if you could highlight this on your programme, as it's nearly impossible now to drive in or out of the entrance without the car wheel going down into the pothole. Listen to your programme every morning. Thank you very much indeed. Right, so someone themselves from Fanad was going to come and fix the road, but they were told they couldn't fix the road, and the councillor saying that the businesses need to come together and fix it. But we have access here to a Good and New charity shop, which is very, very popular, and it's difficult for staff to get in and out, and surely the powers that be can come up with a solution to this. It would be really good news. Whoever takes responsibility for this and get it fixed, we'll highlight it here in the show. Of course, we highlight problems, but we're more than happy to celebrate those that come up with solutions as well. There's bound to be someone in a position of authority that can get someone out to fix this pothole at the access to the new Good and New charity shop, please. There was another issue in Ballybofey of an awful pothole, and we raised the issue, and that afternoon it was fixed, and it was so good, and fair play to the council for doing that. But please, someone surely who can do it with authority, i.e. I don't think the public can come and do this. Please, can we tidy up the entrance to the Good and New charity shop? The people in there don't want to wreck their cars. They're doing it out of the goodness of the heart for a really good cause. There are people that won't go there because the road is bad. They don't want to wreck their vehicles. So I'm sure someone out there can get that done. There's brilliant people working in the council and elsewhere, I'm sure, that could sort that out for us today. Hi, just want to highlight this coming from Rafo onto the N14 Maid Lifford to Letterkenny Road. There's a number of bad potholes on this main road. They've been there now for the past month. After tough times hitting them, you know where they're... Sorry, beg your pardon. After a few times hitting them, you know there are... people keeping their eyes out on the road. Could you please highlight this? If someone hits one of them, this road has a 100-kilometre speed limit. The road tyres could blow out. That's at Ballinalaki Crossroads to Manning's Kitchens, is it? In Dromahal. So some bad potholes there on the road coming from Rafo onto the N14 Maid Lifford to Letterkenny Road. Sorry for not being terribly clear there. A caller wants to know what is going on with Bus Éireann. My aunt has been waiting since 9 a.m. and the first bus had a steering issue, so the next bus was meant to be at 10:30. It's now 11 a.m. No bus. She's got to get to flight and will now miss it. Unacceptable. Please tell me she got the bus in the end. Did a bus come? We kind of need to be able to rely on these buses to access things like the airport because of the cost of parking, but also because people don't have cars. But can you imagine the stress of standing on the side of the road waiting for that bus, knowing that you could miss your flight? Let us know if they got on the bus and if they're going to get there on time. Scary stuff. A caller says some of us still pay the ESB by cash in the post office, as it's good to support local services while we still have them. If you're starting a new account or getting an existing account transferred to your name, say of a late relative, there is an upfront penalty fee for not opting for direct debit and paying by cash. This was over €300 over 10 years ago, probably a lot more at present. I know something about that. What was it they wanted something? Was it off me or someone I know? Or maybe it was someone phoned into the show. It's all a blur. But someone had to pay in advance because they wanted to pay cash. I can't remember. I still pay my smart meter bill in cash. It all works out much better. There you go. So I was right. There are very accommodating toilet-wise. I don't think it's fair that... must be this business in Letterkenny. It's been broadly mentioned as Duns now. I don't mind mentioning because a lot of the comments are in a positive way. They are very accommodating toilet-wise. I don't think it's fair that the expectation is that people should be allowed to park in there. And that seems to be the consensus. A lot of people coming out in support of Duns there. Would you know if the Alzheimer's Society have an office in Letterkenny, please? We checked that out just in between this contact coming in and reading it out. There isn't an Alzheimer's Society office in Letterkenny, I've been told. Greg, Mary is a lovely lady herself. I've known her many years. That comes in from Eileen, indeed. But it's also nice, wasn't it nice to hear some nice things about people, Eileen? And I encourage that every morning. We open up the lines, and of course, if people need to raise an issue or to cover a news story or to highlight something, they're there for that. But they're also there for random acts of kindness or to celebrate positivity as well. I was reading in the papers this morning, and I just have a chance to mention it now because we're unable to reconnect with John. You did try John again, did you? Yeah, it's an old go. Okay, so I can put that to one side. But we're talking about going electric and all that kind of stuff, and Bus Éireann has bought quite a number of e-buses. But the problem is they aren't very... I don't think they've worked very well in this country because they don't like the heat, they don't like the cold, right? But the state's public transport operator has been warned the effectiveness of charging its new electric bus fleet will be impacted by hot and cold weather, with the vehicle range eroded over time. Transport for Ireland will be operating with 1/3 of its bus fleet being zero emission at the exhaust, zero emission vehicles within 2 years. However, a report by EU consultancy firm Jaspers, obtained by the Irish Daily Mail, outlines potential issues and unexpected requirements for TFI in its shift towards decarbonising its fleet. Dublin Bus has already purchased a number of buses as part of the move by the department to help the country meet its emission reduction targets. According to the TFI, there will be 431 electric buses by the end of 2024. In other words, within 2 years, about a third of our urban bus fleet will already be zero emission, TFI has said. As part of this, the 2024 TFI will purchase around 70 new double-decker electric buses for Dublin and 101 for elsewhere, covering Limerick, Galway and Cork. Now, the problem is that the Jaspers report states there are potential issues for Dublin Bus as part of the shift to using more e-buses. It noted that there would be sensitivity to hot and cold weather in terms of battery and charging performance. It warned that there would be an eroding of performance and bus range over time. It also said there would be a loss of peak capacity on a per bus basis that would lead in some cases to an increased fleet. The redundant bus fleets would mean they would be an eroding of economic feasibility. So not fantastic news there. Perhaps not surprising to some or other. I think I like e-vehicles, but when the big ones, it seems to be more of a problem, i.e. buses, etc. Okay, that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show today. Just a reminder, if you are listening to the podcast or if you are listening to the playback overnight, please feel free to get involved in the conversation. You can still WhatsApp and text us. Ideally, email us, comments@highlandradio.com, and then we can pick those up in the morning and carry them into the next day's show. But for me, Greg Hughes, and Donna Marie Doherty, who researched and produced today, have a wonderful